No worries, no worries. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the stream. Today we have Marie Poulin joining us for a
Hello.
Notion mastery, behind the scenes, little bit of a chit chat, very, very informal. For those of you that aren't familiar with Notion, aren't familiar with Notion, aren't familiar with Marie, Marie has a Notion course that I'm sure most of you have heard about. If not, I will let Marie do a little bit of a spiel if she's got one. I'm assuming you've been asked the question a couple of times.
Yes. So Notion Mastery is a course that is intended to help people kind of run their whole lives and businesses on Notion. So the whole course is based in Notion as well. So people are kind of learning about the tool in the tool itself, which is a little unique. But it's kind of self-explanatory, mastering Notion for your business and life.
Nice. I will say, obviously, there are a few courses out there now. I think, was yours the first one? Was yours the first one there?
I think Francesco's Notion Made Simple was that, like, I sort of saw that there was already a pre-existing course for like in getting introduced to Notion. But once you already know the tool pretty well, I was more curious about the more advanced use cases and kind of how could we apply this in these weird niche ways. And so I kind of wanted to go the advanced business direction.
Nice. Kim, good to see you. Gail, also good to see you. Good afternoon.
Your names?
Yeah, I know everyone's names that come in. We've got Study Channel's going to come in a second. I guarantee. Yeah, there you go. There they are. There they are. I knew they were coming in. I'm going to guess another Notioneer is going to come in at some point as well. Maybe
fun
as well. So yeah, I can see all the people. People are joining in there. Some of these names I'm bad at pronouncing names, so I may give some of the names to you, Marie. See if you can pronounce them.
What? Wait, and I can't actually see them in.
So you should be able to go to comments, top right of your screen. You should see.
Aha! There we go.
There we go. So Jonas. Well. Hi, I'm really.
Jonas?
I butchered that name, guaranteed. Joseph, good to see you. Fanny Land, also good to see you. Right.
Hello.
Okay. So obviously, most people that are coming to the stream know Notion. So I'm curious. I know there are a couple of other applications that you use. Are there many of them? I obviously with the email, I saw a couple of the things bouncing forwards and backwards, or backwards and forwards, whichever way it goes around.
What are the main that I use to kind of run my business outside of Notion?
Yeah. What are they? Obviously, Notion is publicly known that you are the Notion mastery person, but I know you like exploring tools just like everyone else.
Yes, but I think I've stopped exploring tools that do what Notion does. So there's lots of other tools that I use, Dropbox and Descript and things like that. So there's plenty of other tools, but I think I'm less willing to explore as you are, Danny. You're like, oh, I see this other tool over here and it looks pretty shiny, which is cool too. Like, I think it's really cool to just know what all the tools are capable of. But the ones, I guess, that I use pretty regularly, I think don't really do anything like Text Expander, right? Or Descript or whatever. So there's lots of other tools that have no relation whatsoever to Notion.
Right. Okay. So are they sort of just a kind of like an extension plugin type thing to your workflow?
Exactly. I feel like. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, is there anything that you would say you use that is not necessarily common? Obviously, Dropbox is something a lot of people know about. Text Expander, there are loads of different text expanders. I mean, during the streams recently.
Alfred, right? Yeah. And I've seen some really cool things that people have been doing with Alfred, but I feel like I still need to learn that one. I need to wrap my head around it because I got my start with Text Expander, which to me feels so easy. So I use that, like hundreds of times a day. I've been using hey.com for my email. I feel like I'd be curious to chat with you about that too, because I feel like email is the one that took a really long time to really figure out. Do you feel that pain?
I don't feel the pain, but I understand where it's coming from. I think it's because potentially from maybe my student days is a little bit different from yours, but I got spammed with emails, like all which direction, all the different departments, different lecturers just spamming you with emails. So I kind of had to get good at managing my inbox. I didn't have a choice. and now it's kind of the same thing. Instead of it being the lecturer sending out a batch email to everyone, even though I finished the module like 2 years ago. I still get emails now, like my email inbox. I still get emails for like first year sports coaching lectures. I'm like, I graduated like 2 years ago for that degree. But yeah, so my email, I just use the default Gmail. I don't have any app extension or anything. It's just an inbox. And I know Gail, I'm not sure whether Gail's going to mention that he doesn't like the fact that I have there's Gail. Gail's on Twitch. Speaking of Dropbox, Marie, do you use it for
Dropbox paper?
Okay, so as soon as you said cloud file storage, we had I wouldn't say disagreement, but I think I've streamed every day this week. I'm not sure whether you're aware of that. I'm losing track of which day we had this conversation, but I was talking about backups and cloud storage and local storage and that sort of stuff, and Dropbox was part of that conversation as cloud storage. So as soon as I saw Gail and cloud storage, I thought, he's bringing it up.
Like, you know it's coming. I do. Like I do sometimes use Dropbox paper only with other people. Like I have a couple of mastermind groups and they use Dropbox paper for like our mastermind notes. And so I probably could, subvert that and send them back a Notion document, but we've just been in that document for so long. So we have this incredible running document of all of the stuff that we've done over the last 2 years and like goals that we set and stuff. So for the most part, I mostly just use Dropbox for storage. Yeah. Right.
So I'm going to finish off the email. Okay. Squirrel moment. My brain goes all directions.
That's okay. Bring it. Let's do it.
Like we're in the process of making a squirrel emoji for Twitch and YouTube because the amount of like squirrel moments I have. Just to give a bit of context, a Nerdy Notioneer has joined us. Hi, Nerdy Notioneer. The film Up. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Doug, the dog, squirrel moment. That's the reference.
Yes.
That didn't get the reference of squirrel. Okay. Going back to the email. So my all of my inboxes are empty. I have I have 18 email accounts that I currently use. A lot of them are like mashed into like 3 or 4. So I go to 3 inboxes, but I have like 17, 18, 19 somewhere.
Why so many?
Different accounts for different things. So some of them are sports clubs, some of them are committees, some of them are communities like scouts, football, handball, trampoline. Some of them are joint email inboxes that I'm a part of that I part manage, which isn't great fun because some of the people that I manage inboxes with don't know how to manage their inbox, and it's just a pain. I go into those inboxes, I'm like, 7,000 unread messages. Right, great.
I'd be that person. No, not that bad.
It's painful. I remember going to a trampoline competition and I was managing the club's email account. And she was like, I'm sure there was an email. And I watched her scroll through like 17 pages of her inbox trying to find it. And I'm like, no wonder you're stressed and you can't organize stuff.
And it's tricky. Like this is stuff that we don't learn in school. Most of us, like it's trial by fire. And so if you just, if you built up those good habits and you got used to it, but other people have like suffered through that for so long. And so it is fascinating to watch people. I'm like, how have you made it this far? Life must be so much more difficult for you. That's very hard.
Yes.
I gasped too. I definitely don't do the inbox zero thing, but I mean, you got to figure out some processes to help you, right? Whew. Yeah.
I mean, I think the inbox zero for me, the reason, so I've said this a couple of times, but the reason I have an inbox zero is because all of my emails are very quick, actionable. There's no email that I get that requires me to go to someone else or requires a long process. It's part of a conversation. So once I've responded to the email, I just archive it.
Done. Yep.
So that speeds that through. I'm going to try and keep hold of chat. Yusuf, good to see you. Gail, they've gone through that one. It was a disagreement. You were okay. Yes. It was a disagreement. You were just only one on the other side. Yes, Kim. What's up, guys? It's good. It's good to be here. It's always fun talking with someone else as I'm going to say you're as nerdy as I am with tech, because I think you are.
Yeah. I'll own that. Yeah.
Some people don't like admitting that they're tech nerdy, and it's like, why? Just
No, I can embrace like tech has made our lives so. Okay, look, there's lots of problems with tech. We can definitely acknowledge that, and I think it has required us to kind of build our own, like to be able to self-manage and to know, how much is enough and to when to stop scrolling on your phone and all that good stuff. And it obviously makes our lives a lot better, or has the potential to make our lives a lot better if used responsibly, right? So that
I like the it bit.
So yeah, it has the potential to do that. And I think, you and I have probably both seen that. And even the fact that I can make a living and kind of, run a whole business based on a variety of internet tools, right? I think it's pretty incredible that we can kind of tip tap on our keyboards and make money. So it's pretty cool.
My parents still don't understand it. My parents still don't understand it.
They're like, what do you do exactly?
Exactly. They're downstairs now and they know that I'm streaming. They have no idea what it means. It's just like, oh, what are you doing?
Leave him alone. We don't know what he's doing, but close the door.
Pretty much. I mean, I have a whiteboard that's now in my room, but during the time where everyone was in the house, I had to put the whiteboard out my door, like, do not enter, because I either was on a Zoom call or something, or streaming, and it's just...
I definitely was in the middle of a recorded podcast, and Ben just came in and brought me like a burrito behind me, and I was like, thank you. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, I don't have anyone bringing me food. I go downstairs.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that.
I have to get off of my chair. I have to move.
The Pomodoro Break, right? The 5-minute Pomodoro Break.
Yeah, I've tried. I tried using Pomodoro, like all the different methodology. I'm going to have to scroll chat because I'm losing things. I've tried, and I've done the 5-minute break, the 10-minute break, the 1 hour, 30-minute. I've tried all the intervals, and I just can't. I can't stick with one. It's just got to be when I feel like it. It's got to be auto-regulated to use a word from my my degree. Not that I'm using much of it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And like, I love talking about that stuff too, because I think finding your own like personal rhythm and kind of how you think of your time and plan your day is so personal, right? Like what works for some people doesn't work for everyone. And sometimes you're getting in the zone and you're just in it and you're in flow and you don't want to break it. And you're like, oh, wow, 5 hours has passed, right? So you kind of have to listen to your body.
That's literally me streaming. That's for those that have been and streamed during the week. It's like, oh yeah, so we're going to move on to this topic. Oh wait, hour and a half in. Let's try and speed this up. I don't want to be here for midnight.
Whoopsies, yeah.
Yeah, right. Esteban, I love how Danny's brain works. You sure about that? You sure about that? There is no linear line to it.
That's why it's fun. It's fascinating.
All directions. So linking that with, I guess, apps, I assume you're aware of Roam, Obsidian, Ample Note, Nimbus Note, all the other applications. Well, not all of them because there are loads of them. What are your thoughts on the backlinking, unlinked references, GraphView stuff with knowledge management?
I mean, like with tools like Roam, like kind of what's my opinion on them?
Yeah.
I think I haven't dived in deep enough. Like I saw my husband trying out Roam and he was like, oh, I think I might like explore this over here. And I was like, betrayal. I'm just kidding. I think I really do believe people should use the tools that make the most sense for them. But I was immediately, oh, that does not feel good for my brain. Like it was a very visceral, like that feels very messy, even though I think there's such an incredible benefit to be able to connect those ideas really quickly. But I think I had already kind of built that for myself in Notion. So I was like, do I really need, like, is it helping me to go and learn a new tool and a new system when I have one that feels like it works really well? So I was like, I think I'm good over here. Like if you want to go explore that tool, awesome. And, I'm happy to kind of keep using the systems that have been working for me. So I can't knock on those tools because I have to say I don't feel like I've fully dived in maybe the way that you have. I'd be curious, like I know you've been exploring lots of other tools recently too. So like I'm very curious. You must have some strong opinions on some of this stuff. So bring it.
I mean, like I mentioned, I've been streaming daily. I've explored at least 2 tools per day. So I mean that's 14 tools this week.
And so any like favorites, like any ones that you've been pleasantly surprised by?
Yes. So, well, tools, not necessarily. Features of tools, yes. So, Ample Note, very nice. Ample Note is similar to Roman Obsidian, but there are some features in Ample Note that sort of stick out. It's still got the backlinks, the unlinked references, but tasks are inside of notes, and no matter where you put the tasks, it goes to a separate task inbox, very similar to ClickUp with their inbox. So it was a nice feature. And there's other small things. I'm going to do videos summarizing all the stuff because not everyone can watch me stream for hours and hours on end. Nimbus Note, their basic table. So Nimbus Note is very similar to Evernote, and their basic table feature is really powerful. So you can, it's boxed, so it's almost like a spreadsheet you put inside of your note, but without the formulas and stuff because it's just a basic table. So that is really, really nice. Excello has almost every feature you can think of when it comes to project management, task management, but it was really overwhelmed. But the customization when it comes to colors, so the background colors, the theming, they gave you full range of every color you can think of. And I was like, that's really nice. The customization of that's really nice. And there were features from other apps. There's so many. There's so many.
I know. I'm excited to see those reviews.
I've made a blog post going over all the features I'm finding, like all separate features, and that's just going to be an ongoing document that's going to probably get rather large. But yeah, so that's that. Yeah, I could talk for hours about what I found currently. Obviously, I think each stream is about 2 hours long. So
I'm curious, on your end, these different tools, and you're doing all these live streams. Like, what? I guess like what's your plan? Like, what do you have a sense of kind of where you want it, like where you want to take your own expertise or just, this whole discovery process? Like, what do you want to do with it?
Fun. It's
just have fun with it,
yeah, pretty much. So Fun First is something that I follow quite a lot because of what I went through being a student, depression, anxiety, wasn't fun. And I thought, okay, this isn't fun. This is actually really bad, not great for mental health and the rest of it. So Fun First was something that got me through there, and it's just kept me going. And Fun First is why I started YouTube. It was like, I want to learn new skills. So I started learning new skills, and it progressed. Now I have a channel, and now other people like fun, like tools. I found other people like me. So yeah.
And before you made that sort of switch where you're like, okay, Fun First, were you just like overworking? Were you just kind of overdoing it and working too much, or what was the switch for you?
It was.
You might be asking. I know this is like very personal.
Well, no, I mean that is why I live stream, or why I want to live stream, because when I was in those moments, I was looking for people to have honest conversations with, whether that was a daily live stream or whatever it was. Anyone that was streaming daily was doing something with a game. I didn't care about the game; it was the conversation. So I couldn't get involved in a community because I want to see the person's face, or I need to be able to portray what I'm saying because I'm very physical. Very
ideas.
Yeah, I'm always moving. And I wanted to find that conversation. So having the conversations on stream was like, that's what I'm going to do, which is why I'm now streaming more. So the way my mind was back then was I had these expectations in my head of I should get a degree. I should do whatever the degree says I should. I should be getting a first class in this assessment, even though the essay doesn't actually mimic my actual ability to perform in practice. And I was so driven to getting good grades at school, getting good grades in essays, assignments, and the pressure of trying to perform the best everywhere I can, whether that was in sport, whether that was social, academic, like everywhere. I was just, you need to perform. No, you don't. You need to have fun.
I love that. Yeah.
And that's what, I mean, it took a lot of different therapists, a lot of hours talking to therapists.
Yes, we love therapists.
It's a taboo thing, and I don't think it should be. I'm
curious if it's more, it feels like maybe it's more taboo in European countries. Would you agree that that's true, or do you think it's? I'm trying to figure that. I know there's like some slight differences around that stuff, but like talking about that, yeah.
I think potentially it's generational as well, because I know a lot of. I don't want to put a number to it or an age to it, but I feel like a lot of people, a couple of generations older than me, as soon as you say therapist, they get really defensive. I'm like,
It's like
not
you're
a
saying something's wrong with my brain. Like, I got this, right? People think they can kind of just like pull up
yeah,
the
you're,
bootstraps. You got this. Yeah.
yeah, you're like, no, everyone needs to talk.
Yeah. And
But
get
yeah,
and get aware of your own patterns, right? I think that's really the ultimate key is like you're so close to it, so you don't really know how. I'm a big believer like how you do something is how you do everything. So we show up at the pattern level in every way, right? Like with clients, with like for me, it was like people pleasing or not knowing how to be able to say no, right? So
obviously, you're
so
saying
we're
no
yeah.
to that.
No, it's I just think it's so important to get aware of that stuff because the same stuff that trips you up in your daily life is going to show up in every other place of your life. So the sooner that you deal with that stuff, the better. And also just not looking at it as like fixing, but just like more awareness to be able to just keep having more fun in life, right? And unblocking that stuff that's blocking you. So I'm a huge, huge believer in that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yes. And so how do I with a lot of the productivity streams, videos and things, it's very much performance orientated. This is how you do this
Outcome
thing.
oriented, like the thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a tangible thing associated to the video, the podcast, the live stream, the whatever it is. It's I'm going to improve business performance, growth on whatever platform or whatever it is. There doesn't seem to be much of a I don't know, like I guess fluffy maybe is the word. I don't know, but like the just living, having fun.
Yeah, and I think people kind of forget, like they get so obsessed with the tools or like productivity for productivity's sake, but we're like, well, what are we being productive about, right? Like, what do we actually want at the end of the day? And so I think zooming out a little bit, and it's like people might compare, for example, Notion with like, oh, well, it's so much easier to use Todoist or whatever. Like, I can't, I don't want to use Notion for my task management, whatever. That's totally fine. But to me, I'm not looking at
here.
What's that?
Insert list of apps here to do it.
Exactly. Like I'm not part of the reason that I really do love Notion is I think of it as a little bit more of a creative tool. It's a place that because I'm in there constantly and so many of my ideas have kind of grown, it is this digital garden. And so I'm not just looking for like, I need the most like rapid way to add my to-do. I'm actually looking for a way that I can be adding my to-dos that are already integrated with other parts of my life. I'm willing to take that hit on the speed because I just like the overall feel of it. And so when people are like, this is better, you're comparing apples, you're saying like apples are better than oranges. It's like, or my preference is for oranges, right? And that's totally cool. So if you only look at it as like a tool for productivity, well, I'm looking at it as a tool, like a creative tool in my life that helps me live a more interesting life. And I think that's what's really magical about it.
Yeah, I was trying to like browse through the comments because I was like, oh yeah, I'm good, and then I saw the scroll bar suddenly update, and I was like, whoa, okay, apparently I'm pretty far behind. But yeah, I'm trying to read through everyone's comments because I know from a streamer's perspective, it's really easy to get involved in the conversation. Just
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm trying to keep track of everyone. So John, I did see that comment that was what's that? There you go. It's already like 13 minutes ago. Thanks, John.
Whoops.
Yeah, whoops a daisy. And then a Notion here says, I know this was a while ago, but I'm in the zone. Like it.
Yeah.
Danny moved the conversation along while acknowledging. And I think like to keep that point out for a second, even though it, not at all a popular one, everyone is different, but like an application is just like a thing. It's a tangible thing. How you use that is completely up to the person using it. Notion is one of those apps. Obviously, Coda is another one very, very similar to Notion that you can build what you want. The no-code builder space, whatever you want to call it. You can do what you want with it, whereas some of the boxed applications force you to work a certain way, which is why some people don't like those apps.
Yeah. So it works well for the ones that are like, oh, that works for my brain, and it's great for those people. But I think we have to, recognize there are many different neurodivergent paths and ways of operating, and that's cool.
I like that word.
Yeah.
I like that word. Neurodivergent. I like it. I think it was Ali that said it in a video. It must have been like months ago now. But he said something along the lines of the app shapes the way you think.
Yeah.
I think he related that to a Roman notion when it came to writing his, whether it was book, novel, whatever he's doing. I can't remember. I think it was writing the book that he's writing right now. But the way the app works certainly changes the way that you think about how you capture things.
Yes, I think it's I say it's a tool for reflexive thinking, because you're having to think about how you think. And that is a very, very powerful thing to develop. And so if you're willing to kind of stick it out, it can be a tool for really cool self-discovery.
Yeah. And so that's interesting. When it comes to reflexive, obviously I know you have your journal, and your journal's inside of Notion, and that must be massive now. What's that, 2 years? Is it 2 years of journaling?
Yeah, I should double check, but yeah, it's definitely, just over 2 years.
And I know you struggled journaling beforehand as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I just never did it before. I could just never keep consistent.
So what do you think it was about Notion that made it? Was it the fact that everything else was in Notion and you just like, oh, convenient that it's there, or?
It was fun, like the ability to have a photo of the day. I'm a very visual person. I went to design school, so for me, how things look and feel is very important. Like it actually, makes my brain feel at peace. And so just being able to see your life represented in these different ways too, like show me just moods, or show me how moods and my physical activity might be connected. To me, that was, again, it was just this discovery process. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like I started to notice every time I would have like a 5-star super productive week, I would always have a crash the next week. And so now in a way I started to build that in. Like I need those restful times so that when I'm in the zone and I'm using so much brain power, I also have that recovery time. So if you're paying attention and you're noticing it over time, you can kind of change your behavior, right?
Yeah, because I don't know whether, I did a stream on Twitch last week with the Notion Goth, and she shared her space. It was about a 4-hour stream, I think.
Holy moly.
Yeah. And I mean, her and I went off on tangents, and John sort of he literally left the stream for like 20 minutes. He was like, I've got nothing to add, I'm just going to leave, and then came back on. Yeah, we diverted, squirrel moments all over the place. But her space, there was a lot of tracking in it, which for me, I don't track that much information, if any, really, because autoregulation is how I prefer to do it, just what works for me. And she has a lot of tracking stuff, and I think it's just one of those things. You do like tracking or you don't like tracking from my mindset, because the way I see tracking is it's bringing up loads of information, and I personally know I wouldn't use it. If I was going to use it, then I'd do it, but I wouldn't use it. Whereas if you use it, there is a point to the reason.
And I think, like you said, there's taking it too far. And so, I'm tracking, oh, I worked out this day. I'm not like, oh, how many reps did I'm like, oh, like I'm not going that far, right? So for me, I often see other people's faces and I'm like, whew, that is like way too much tracking. Like no way. I want to choose how many avocados of energy I had today, right? It's like, it's more of a fun, like creative process, and cut it off and we're good. So I think I don't take it too far. It's more like a playful discovery process.
But I think everyone's along that spectrum. Everyone's somewhere along that spectrum.
Exactly.
The person's just like, nah, it's too far. And I'm like, way down here, I track literally nothing. So as soon as I see someone with a habit tracker that has like 5 or 6 habits, I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then I think Notion Goth was tracking.
Good luck to you, sir. Yeah.
I think Notion Goth had, I want to say, like 160 something properties hidden for all the tracking and stuff. I just saw your face and you were like, yeah. So she tracks a lot of stuff, but that's what she does. It works for her, and she uses it all. Like,
that's all that matters, right?
Going through her space, she uses everything.
That's cool. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for those of you that haven't seen it, I think it's still up on Twitch. If not, I will have to download it and bring it onto YouTube. Because Twitch doesn't keep them. Like, it keeps them for 7 days because I'm not a partner, so it keeps them for 30 days. Once you're an affiliate, you get 14 days of rewatch unless you've made it a video or something like that. I don't know. I can download it because I've got it on StreamYard, so I can just download it and re-upload it.
Still a world I don't know about the Twitch side of things. Yeah.
I think Twitch is a platform that traditionally has been gaming, but the just chatting area is massive now. Just chatting is the biggest category because it encompasses basically anything that isn't gaming.
That's cool.
Science and technology is a category that I've browsed around in, and it's a lot of coding. So learning to code, I may go in there, but if you're not learning to code, then obviously you wouldn't go in there. But yeah, there are loads of people. So I recently found out Simon Clark. Are you aware of Simon Clark? He's a PhD student YouTuber, and he does like weather stuff, or did weather stuff. His PhD is in like climate something or other. Fairly big channel, uses Notion, or used Notion, don't know if he still does, but I found out today on one of his vlogs that he streams on Twitch, but I had no idea. I was like, oh, okay. And he streams himself building like Python algorithm stuff for his PhD thing. And I was like, that's pretty cool. So there's loads of small people talking about what they're doing, but it's way over there, way left field. And unless you know about Twitch and you're looking for it, you won't find it, which is obviously a lot of streamers on Twitch have a YouTube channel, but then they don't focus on YouTube because they prefer to Twitch, and it's just
a different experience, different use case, I guess. Yeah,
which is why I'm multi-streaming this one to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, because I was just like, let's go, let's just go everywhere.
Here we go. Let's see where this takes us. Yeah,
exactly. And streaming is just fun because I like talking, as you probably noticed.
And people, like you said, like learning how people's brains work and just getting into deeper conversation is so fun, right? Like when you talk to enough people, enough very different people, and it just becomes more comfortable too to be able to converse with people. So, like I love doing podcast interviews too, just being able to even see what a person asking you questions, like what are the questions they want to ask because they think is interesting, right? It's great.
Yeah, so true. It's so true. I guess this is like a creator thing. When watching videos, I'm like, they cut there, they've done this B-roll, they've done this music, they've ramped up here, they've gone down. I consume information completely different. When I'm looking at a website, I'm going, okay, where have they put their banners? Where have they put their newsletter links? Are they putting ads? Are they not putting, like, my awareness is
so that I love that you brought that up. That is such a creator thing. I feel like I do that with shows and movies. And I think this is since doing, I did a year of acting classes, which I've talked about before is like the hardest thing I ever did in my life. And I have so much more respect now for actors. And I'm always like in the scenes, I can't help myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, what was it like for that actor to do that scene and to hold that character? And then I go down these like 4-hour rabbit holes. I'm like, I need to know, like, how did they find the location? Did the actors get along in real life? Like, I want to know everything about that actor's experience of putting on that role and embodying that character. I'm like, I need to know everything.
Sometimes I even go to the point where I'm like, okay, I need to Google the show to find the actor to see the backstory.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. And then you're like pausing it. You're like, wait, what else have they been in? And then you're going down a whole other, I'm like, oh geez. I just want to know everything that went into that. And especially creative teams are so huge, right? From like production, casting, cinematography, scripting. To me, it's such an impressive endeavor to get that many people working together to create this amazing work of art. I'm just like, I need to understand.
How? Tell me your secret.
Yeah. And like being solo for so long too, like the idea of collaborating at scale like that is just such an incredible feat. I'm like, oh, it's very fascinating to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I will get to the comments in a second because I've realized like I'm kind of
sorry, guys.
Sorry, everyone. So I want to try and bring as many people into the conversation as I can. Obviously, we can go elsewhere, but from my experience as a consumer, not creator, there's no one place I can go for productivity app conversation type stuff. Whether it's apps or productivity, methodology, mindset, there's just everyone's doing their own thing, like everywhere. There's no like are you aware of Clubhouse? The social media, yeah. Yes. Like, I feel like there needs to be a Clubhouse for productivity people. I know
that the Notion folks are doing a Clubhouse soon, right? They're doing one in a couple days.
I think so, yeah.
We drop in on, but yeah, why not start it? Be the change you want to see, Danny.
And you say that. That's what we've been saying. I think Sarah brought it up. I think it was Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember. But Sarah brought it up and she was like, why don't you invite these people from YouTube onto the stream? I was like, let's do that. I mean, I'm going to stream daily anyway, so I'm just going to bring as many people on as I can. Just be like, right, let's have a conversation. One, to help me and to help obviously the people here, but everyone else that obviously can join.
And I think for people to see how different, right, just how different we all approach and how differently productive we are. We have different habits, but we're all productive in different ways. So there is no one right way, like inbox 0 at the end of the day, or else you're a failure.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people completely opposite to me. Okay, so Joseph said, have you looked at Moodoo? Yes, it is. So I have 3 categories of applications in my Obsidian space because I'm using Obsidian currently. I'm saying currently because I may move it. I've moved it like 6 times so far. I have 3 stages essentially of my apps. I have to explore, which I found it somewhere on the interweb, and I need to explore it. Then I have like dipped into, so I've gone in and I've had a quick look around and gone, okay, that's cool. And then I've got actually looked at. Moodoo is one that I've gone in, I've looked at and gone, okay, I'll review that at some point. I have like 900 in that category.
Holy moly. Yeah, there's so many tools, right?
Yeah. So yes, I do know of it, and I will probably do a stream on it at some point soon. Nimbus is cheaper. I'm not sure what that was referring to. I'm assuming that is referring to Roam, and I think every app in note-taking space is cheaper than Roam. But yeah. Gail, I think that was a reference to another conversation. Whoa, I've just been jumped down. Where are we? Let's scroll back up. Was I really that far down? No, I wasn't. I just scrolled past it. Oh, I've got moderators, so I know all of these comments are actually useful. Okay. No, I'm not going to bring that one up. I'm not going to bring that one up.
Delete.
You're in Greece. Awesome. Good to see you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the therapy stigma is like you said, cultural, generational, different countries, different places in the world kind of treat it very differently for sure. But like you said, I think it's becoming destigmatized. Maybe people our age, it's much more common. And even like hiring coaches, right? It's almost like, oh yeah, I got my therapist, I got my health coach, I've got like my variety of people that I work with to like keep me at an optimal level. And yeah, therapist is definitely one of those for sure.
I mean, coming from like strength and conditioning being my master's, coming from that sense, every athlete has a massive team behind them. Most people see, like, take Usain Bolt as an example. Oh, Usain Bolt won 100-meter Olympics or whatever, and you're like, oh, that's great. But actually, he had like, I think he had a team of 7 like physio people, like physio, anatomy physiologists, sports scientists, strength and conditioning coaches working with him. That's just the physical side. Then I think he had 2 psychologists, a mental coach to help with like preparation for like the actual games. He had obviously his technical coach, performance analysis. He has like every athlete in the Olympics has at least a team of like 15 minimum, depending on the sport.
Yeah. And yet we think we need to do it all by ourselves, right? We're like, I got this. Like it's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is why when I came into like the entrepreneurial creator thing, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing it by myself." I'm like, "You stupid."
Yeah. Good luck, buddy. You're gonna burn yourself out. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm still doing stuff by myself, but I don't take on anything that I know I can't handle or that isn't fun. So if I'm doing something and I realize this isn't fun, I just stop doing it because it's all my control.
Yeah.
Always come back to that 3-letter word.
Fun. I like that. It's a very good metric.
Yep. And so I said this in a video. I can't remember what video it was. I think it was a couple of videos ago. And I was saying that if I wake up and I want to get started with my day, and when I need to go to bed, I don't want to finish the day, I know I'm doing something right.
Oh yeah.
I love that. 2 things I check myself with is, do I want to wake up? Yes. Do I want to go to sleep? No. I'm doing the right thing.
I love that. We joke about that. Like, I'm going to be hiring my first full-time employee in a couple weeks, so that's very exciting. And we work with other contractors too. But I I'm huge on that flexibility, right? So she's like, I have a headache today, and I'm just like, take the day off. Like, don't be struggling through that. Like, I want this to feel like it's so much fun you almost forget that you're working. And so we kind of joke about, like, we measure our KPIs and, like, stokage. How stoked are we about what we're working on? That's what's most important. So I love that.
Yeah, I love that. John's still in chat, and he's probably going to put something in there. But KPIs, OKRs, he's like, we did a podcast, and he was calling them like LMNOP, alphabet, like
every other letter.
Yeah, it's just like, nah. Out of interest, has anybody been able to get beta access to the Notion API yet? I don't think so. Don't think so, to my knowledge. But they're working on so many different things.
I think it's in private. I think it's in private beta right now, right?
Yeah, that's my current understanding. But when it comes to Notion, I'm just going to say this. I use Notion loads. Slack is not the app that I prefer to use. So I don't keep up with the Slack chat in the Notion Ambassador Slack. And if Notion don't post it on Twitter, I don't know about it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's a conversation that we had that we had on stream. I think it was 3-4 days ago now. When it comes to like Notion and community engagement, they have a massive community, but most of the stuff they do is not necessarily hidden, but you have to look to find it.
Yep, I would agree with that.
And I don't know what your experience with other applications are, but ClickUp is amazing when it comes to community engagement. Oh. You mention ClickUp. Irrespective of your follower account, they will reply. Irrespective. They give you email updates about everything. I mean, yes, it's kind of annoying. But when ClickUp went down, they sent me an email saying ClickUp went down. And then they sent another email like an hour later, we're working on this. Then they said, okay, it's better for these people, not for these. And I had like a 7 email string over the day giving me like in-time updates.
I think more transparency that way would help quell some of that, like, why is Notion loading slow today? Everyone gets out their pitchforks. It's like, well, it would be nice if sometimes they were a little bit more forthcoming about some of that stuff and kept people in the loop, for sure.
Save us as well. Save us with all the FAQ. Bombarding whatever person
mid-screen share. You're like, oh, that's weird. That's never happened before.
Yeah, you're halfway through something, you're like, what? Notion? Excuse me? Notion's really good, but it's currently not working.
Just give me 1 minute, guys. Yeah.
Oh, I experienced that too many times. I have to keep eye on. Oh, look at that. So someone's a fan of your background.
It's a salt rock lamp. Oh, I'm like, where am I pointing? A salt rock lamp, and then it's actually a color changing bulb. You can use your phone depending on the mood. How are you guys feeling? We can choose a different color if you like. Super nerdy.
I've got to get myself one of those.
Let's see.
I feel like everyone would know it just be orange all the time. Oh, that's nice. That's cool because it matches.
There we go. Orange. There we go. What do you think? We'll do a little
nice.
color wheel action. There we go. That's and they're so super easy. You can get them on Amazon. It's a Govee color changing light bulb. There we go. Match Danny.
I feel like it's kind of like an Ali thing. Everyone that I've seen that's doing the Ali YouTuber, part-time YouTuber course program thing, every time I see them now, I'm like, okay, you've got lights in the background.
You've got the Ali Abdel background. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you've got the Ali Abdel like lights, whatever it happens to be.
Thank you. Yeah.
But it does look much more professional than my wall that's actually miles away, but you can't tell it's miles away. I physically can't reach it from my chair.
It's a whole universe away.
Literally. Oh, okay, right. I'm going to try. I'm going to challenge myself to get to the end of this chat. So haven't got access. That's not a question. That's not a question. Because something I've realized when streaming is people obviously talk with each other and like, is that me? No, that's not me.
Yeah, you're like, was that meant? Yeah.
Was I meant to add something there? Was I not?
It's quite a new set of skills to like, you're like, looking at the guest and trying to look at the camera and then like keeping, there's just a lot to do when you're when you're streaming that people don't even see what's happening, right?
That's something from a consumer standpoint. When I watch people streaming, I was thought, oh yeah, that's easy. You're just talking to a camera. Well, actually, they've got like 20 mods in chat making sure all of this doesn't happen. Then they've got like 3 monitors hidden somewhere with all the other stuff going on. They've got like all the buttons and stuff down here. I'm on a
And
laptop.
to make it look effortless is a whole other, it's a skill.
I will say though, a lot of streamers that have a lot of people in chat just ignore chat because there are too many people there. And I feel like I may end up getting to that point, but I don't want to. I want to try and keep engaging with chat. So it's like, how do I get people involved? But I can't look at like 30 messages at once. This is interesting. I'm more in the area of organizing information versus tracking information. I know what that's in reference to. And yeah, that's an interesting debate, actually, organizing versus tracking. Because like, obviously, it's a spectrum.
Yeah, and even like beyond organizing, it's like activating. Like, what are you doing with the information that you're organizing, and what are you kind of using it for? What's the purpose? So yeah, there's lots of ways you could look at that.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I don't track a lot of information, because I know it would be useful or could be useful, but I know I wouldn't use it.
Is it like digital hoarding, right? Like you're just keeping, but like what are we doing with that? Yeah.
Yeah, I use that term so much, especially when it comes to a lot of people. When I see their second brain, their whatever they call it, because everyone likes to build their own thing and call it their own name. Everyone likes to add their own terms to it, which is fine, but it does make cross-platform conversations very difficult, especially talking about apps.
Yeah.
I brought it up like all through the week. Why do they call it this? It's this. Why do they call it that? It's this. But yeah, and tracking information, if you're not like intentional about what you're doing with it, it's certainly some sort of hoarding. But digital hoarding can be easy to hide behind because you can't. It's not a physical thing. It's not like, oh wow, it's getting a mess, which it is a mess. Yeah. But you can't see it. It's hidden in a file or a folder somewhere.
Yeah.
Kim. Yep, Kim's in agreement. I bet we'll.
Yeah, I think the tracking is only for the purpose of helping you in some way. If it's not helping, and if you're not kind of keeping up with it, it's just making you feel guilty. I think we kind of have to know ourselves well enough to know, oh, the tracking is motivating for me because I can see X, Y, Z, and then for someone else, it's like, I feel like it's judging me. And so I think people need to figure out for themselves how much tracking is enough, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I started giggling because this is the weekly calendar view has come up every single day this week.
Yes.
Every single day of this week, the weekly calendar view in Notion has come up. And I've gone, I don't know. And the thing is, every single app that I've explored, I think that has some sort of task management has a weekly calendar view, even though the app isn't for task management. It has a weekly view. And I'm like, this app, I'm not going to name an app, but there is an app that was appalling. It was just really bad front end. Like the add button to the calendar was underneath the chat bot, so you couldn't actually add anything to the calendar in the view. Then the timeline view that was meant to be like lines down wasn't. Like the first row stopped here and the second one stopped there, and there was something on the front end that wasn't working. But there were 2 features that were really nice. One of them, you could filter the roll-up. So you could filter by anything in the roll-up. Nice, they called it a lookup. And I was like, that's nice. And then they had a weekly calendar view. And I'm like, this app does almost everything wrong, but they still have a weekly
But they got the one thing right?
You're just like, of all the things. Gail said yesterday, I'm trying to learn to code in 2021. And
yeah,
Gail,
nice.
If you just build an app and have a weekly calendar view, you already beat in Notion. I'm like,
oh,
I'm not sure I'd go that far, but
that's funny. That's so funny.
Yeah, Bass. I've actually reached out to Bass to come back on stream. So I had Bass on stream in 2021. So I'll get Bass on stream as well because he understands the privacy, the security, and stuff behind apps because that's his job. I know some stuff, but I don't know enough. So I might as well get someone that actually knows what they're talking about on stream. Like, I'm honest. I there's loads I don't know. I'd much rather have other people talk about it than know what they're talking about.
Very smart.
So yes, getting Bass on stream to talk about that at some point in the near future. I'm currently email conversation going backwards and forwards with that. I think I think okay, that's interesting. I think Twitch is great streaming back end building, and YouTube is great showing the front end of that building.
Yeah, like when you're kind of like following along with the builder and kind of seeing their thinking a little bit. Yeah.
That's a really good point as well, because the YouTube streams I see, there's three categories of streams I would say. There's the podcast like conversation, where it's just them two having a conversation, chats sort of just its own beast, its own thing, which is understandable, very common. Then there's the webinar style stream, where it's I'm going to talk to you and basically make a webinar video talking to you for however long, and then do a Q&A at the end.
Yeah.
Which I understand, but it's like kind of like a premiere type YouTube video. And then there are the chatty streams. I prefer the chatty streams, which is probably why I do those sort of streams.
Yeah.
My preference.
Yeah. Fun, right? 3-letter word.
Yes, exactly. She's getting it, people.
It all comes back to fun.
Yes. And when it comes to like the back end stuff, so I was watching, I can't remember his last name, Brian something, Obsidian guy. I was watching his stream yesterday. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning for me. It was like 5 p.m. for him. And I was watching his stream, and it was a back end of Obsidian, but it was really interesting. And I'm like, he's doing it on YouTube and Twitch. That's interesting. So I was like, I may have to experiment. We'll see what happens. But
you could do both, like do both kinds of streams. Yeah. Exactly.
So some people want me to stream coding just so they have some accountability, and there will 100% me being getting frustrated. That was really bad English, but
I always knew what you meant. It's all good.
My hair up. Why isn't this working?
That's what 80% of coding is, right? It's just like the hair pulling, and it's 20% of actually figuring stuff out. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy on YouTube, and he, Sarah, good to see you. There was a guy on YouTube, and he's loads of subs. He's like an ex-Google Cody person. I can't remember, but I'm bad with names. Does videos about coding, essentially. And he was saying that a characteristic you have to have as a coder is you have to have the ability to sit in front of a computer for hours on end. If you can't do that, you can't code, full stop. And I was like, it's a good point.
It's a really like point. Know what you're getting into, right? Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can do that, considering I don't think I've moved from my chair much, other than needing to go to the loo or get food like all day.
Yeah, if you can live stream for 5 hours, you can probably code. I think you'd be able to figure it out.
Hopefully. It's just what language, then what software do I use? Do I use like, there's so many things. And I was like, I was at the point a couple of days ago, I was like, I might just like put it off and then put it off and put it off. But
if it's not that important, it kind of depends why you want to do it, right?
Yeah, it's a question I'm currently asking myself. Why do I want to code? I think it's going to be fun because I associate code with formulas. Obviously, Notion formulas are fun.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe you will like it. Yeah.
So we'll have to see.
Don't know until you try.
Exactly. Okay. That's a load of people saying hi. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm gonna carry on scrolling down. Brian Jenkins. That was the name. So Brian Jenkins. I was watching his behind the scenes of Obsidian, and he actually managed to crack it. Obsidian, which was quite funny. You're like, how? But he's definitely using Obsidian way more advanced than I am. But then that's the same with all apps. I think when it comes to the app space, there are experts in the app. But because they're an expert in that one app, unless you're looking for that one app, you'll never find them. Mm-hmm. So it's not like this wide audience for all the things.
Yep.
So unless someone like Thomas Frank, Ali, or a bigger channel says, I'm using this app, no one knows about it.
This was pretty incredible, though, right? Like the way you have these experts in apps that are kind of even outside the company, right? And so it just takes on a world of its own once it's in the hands of people and they're live streaming with it and whatever. You sort of never know what you're going to get. So I'm sure companies are just like, yay, influencer, like, please talk about our thing, right? And it's even better when it's not sponsored. So if someone's just like, I love this tool and I want to share it and here's what I'm doing with it, they're like, whew, yes, okay.
I think that's what Notion did and does really well. Is they I don't know whether it's like a intentional thing for them. I don't think it was directly intentional, but influencers, they have grabbed some of the biggest influencers, and then obviously other people have grabbed the wave. So Ali started using it, Thomas started using it, then like other smaller but still massive YouTubers started using it, and then everyone else suddenly starts using it, and you're thinking, okay, so it's become a trend. Like Notion is a trend. You look at Product Hunt, how many templates do you see on Product Hunt, and you're like, is this just a Notion template or is it an app? And
it's like blurring that line. You're like, you don't really know. It's wild.
Especially the way some of them are marketing it, because it's a space for their use case. It almost is an app. It's not. It's just a template, but it almost is an app for that use case.
Absolutely.
I guess that comes down to how you define an app. Because of it, I think was it Akshay that said in the interview they wanted Notion to be the app where you could build your own app. I think it was Akshay that said that. Yeah, and I'm like, they've definitely managed to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, people are building whole businesses, even extensions around it, right? It's pretty wild.
But I know obviously you've worked with loads of people with Notion. What's the more unique use cases you've seen for Notion?
Like some of my direct clients, I would say like a canine hydrotherapist using it as a resource library. So like, physiotherapy related training. And so it's like, hold the dog in this way. And so there's like instructional material and sort of first aid and that sort of thing. So that's one kind of niche industry. A divorce attorney, using it to kind of manage their client pipeline and things like that. Lots of people doing online courses and resource libraries, but I'm trying to think of like,
because I've seen a couple of archaeologists using it. Students. I've seen a couple of gamers as well. Obviously, I don't know whether you saw
Pokédex.
Thomas Frank did one on like Among Us, and then I've seen other people with Warcraft, like Warcraft databases.
Dungeons and Dragons stuff.
The cards. What the cards called? Tarot cards.
Tarot. Yep, seen that one too. Yeah, there's so many cool. I just love seeing all the creative ways people are finding to use it. Yeah, it's so cool.
It kind of brings a new, I don't know whether like new world, new opportunity for applications. Like it's just the toggle on and off. Actually, I'm going to bring this up. So I think it was yesterday. I said that the app space, I think, needs to look in the gaming world and how they do the UI. Because when you look at games, they have the UI down. Because that's what they do, and you can build out your own characters.
Good games do,
And like the building type games, whether that's I don't know Minecraft or whatever other game there are, or FPS shooters or world building things, raiding, whatever it is, they've got the UI down. Well, the good ones do, and people can customize so much of it. And applications, I feel like, obviously, Notion is definitely moving that direction where you can go customize.
Yeah.
Do you think that's where apps potentially will go in the next few years when it comes to customization? Just add more customization options, not necessarily features, because I think the features there aren't many more features to add.
I think it depends, right? Because you look at companies like Basecamp, for example, and their core feature set did not really change. They were like, we're not going to do every single feature that, our clients are asking for. We do this really, really well. And so there's like very little change and customization. It's like, this is what we do. These are the features that we do. And the people that love that tool for those reasons, right? Because they're not getting distracted with making all these other things that like don't really improve the tool at the core. And so obviously Notion has this magic quality to it because it is that open canvas. And so you have people that are drawn to that are going to love that. But then you have people that are like, I just want my freaking Asana and I can quickly add my tasks and whatever. So I don't think that necessarily every tool will move in that direction because again, you're going to attract different people when you take a different approach like that. So like, for example, there's still so much within Notion. We're like, why can't we like give a cell a background color? Like these like simple things that we want to be able to do, right? So it's like, how much control do you give people every time you open that up? You open up a whole other customer support, permutations, like, right? There's just so much. It's a
More help
bit of
guides.
yeah, and like having been on the side of creating software, like I've just seen that where you create the software, you put it in the hands of people, and it suits certain users so well. But then there's like that 20% that are asking for like this crazy range of features, and so the ability to discern like what is actually, I think it was even like the CTO or one of the senior engineers at Notion that was saying there's like the vitamin or the pill, or it was like, what is a feature that actually moves the product forward versus it's like a piece of candy. Like it's not really at the end of the day improving the longevity of the product. So trying to discern and make those decisions as a creator of an app, I think is just such a huge challenge. So I'm just like, I can't even imagine what the customer support burden is like behind the scenes at Notion.
Yeah. Yeah, ClickUp was one of the apps that they push an update out every Friday, like without fail.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any idea how big their team is? And even like their user
I know
base?
it's bigger than Notion. I know it is bigger than Notion. They've taken what's the word? It's I can't remember. They said it in their big live conference thing, but essentially they just work loads, which is why I think they're so good in the community. But they have a public canny board for all of the bugs and feature requests and things, which I have no idea how they manage.
Yeah,
there's like 17,000 feature requests or something, and some of those are duplicated as well because people are too lazy to look at it up. I've even seen some people where they've requested a feature and it's already in the app, they just don't know where it is.
Oh yeah, I do get that a lot too, even in Notion. Like, I wish Notion could do this. I'm like, but it can.
Yeah. Do this. Oh, okay, thanks. But they are adding loads and loads and loads of features. And like I mentioned earlier, Excello, they have almost every feature you can think of: email integration, app integration, project management, most of the features you would want in there. But it's such an over bloated app when you look at it. It has, I don't know whether you've seen it, but you open it up and you have every single data, so essentially property that you can filter by, is along the top, and it has a drop down for all the different filter options for all of them. So you've got like 20 different filter boxes at the top of this massive task table type of view with massive sidebars. It's just like loads and loads of buttons and stuff to push, and you can't hide any of it. So you're like, so you've got all the features, but it just doesn't. It's not a nice experience.
I think that's kind of how I felt when I tried it. Yeah, it was like, it's a little overwhelming. Yeah.
So it's having all the features is one thing, but making it usable is something else, something completely different.
It's such a challenge with apps that can just do so much. The ability to like succinctly communicate it in a way that people can discover it too. And I think that is maybe one of the challenges with Notion too, is people don't think, I'm like, don't they know? Always click on the three dots in any app is sort of like more options, right? But if people don't understand those conventions, they don't even know how to kind of discover those things, and they never find it. It's like, oh, that's how I turn that into a page. Like, oh, so these simple things, I think it's really hard to make it discoverable enough and not clutter your whole space. It's such a challenge.
Oh yeah. And so that's one of those, I think I class it like a tech savvy skill, just knowing roughly where to push. And when I go into a new app, even though I've never seen the app before, I'm immediately familiar with the layout. I know there's going to be stuff in the sidebar. I know there's bottom left, bottom right. You've got the menu at the top right, whatever that's going to look like. I know 3 dots, 6 dots, drag, drop. Those sort of things are consistent across the board.
Yeah, most apps kind of have like, there's a gear icon, like those are your settings, right? There's those standards, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Oh, that was the wrong comment. That one. That's the one I wanted. Can you talk about data capacity versus usability in Notion?
What do you want to know, Peter? Yeah, what?
So I'm thinking when it comes to data capacity, it's how many things you can have in a database. From that sense, I've made a database with 100,000 pages that has 29 properties, all of them filled out purely just to test Notion, no actual practical use for it other than to test it, and it functioned fine. It took a while if I wanted to go into the database page and scroll to like row 900,000, 90,000 or whatever it was. But that's because I'm scrolling for it. If I filter and sort, functions exactly the same as a database with 4 or 5 things.
And even like searching within a database is a lot faster than the general search too, right? I have found anyway. Yeah.
I found that as well. I mean, I don't generally search in Notion anyway, because I'll either use the database search or I already have a linked database view filtered for whatever I need anyway. So I don't need to search, but it's there if I do. So I know Tim, one of the other Notion ambassadors, he uses search like all the time. Every time I see him do some sort of webinar talk thing, it's just like search. I'm like, oh yeah, there's that.
Does he have a coding background?
Sorry?
Does he have a coding background?
Tim, I don't think so. I don't think so. I know he's not as savvy with formulas as other people. So people I associate with coding, I associate with good with Notion formulas. It's kind of like a thing I assume. I know I shouldn't assume, but because people assume I can code because I can do formulas. No, no, completely opposite.
You'd pick it up so fast.
Maybe we will see. We will see. I know Gail's in Twitch because he can write more in Twitch, so that there's less of a text gap in Twitch. So the tracking conversation goes back and forth between the changing value of the tracking versus the work required. Yes, to keep up the tracking. Danny's point is every person for themselves, as long as you actually use the data. Yes, exactly. I think Gail's heard me say that so many times now. But yeah, really good point. Anything to add there, or just agreed?
No, yeah, everyone's just got to find the right find the right amount that you're not taking it too far just for the sake of tracking, because then we get into planning, right? Like that whole side of things where you're like the making of the list and sort of even like when I see people draw their bullet journals and they're drawing like the same lines over and over, like to make these templates. I'm like, oh, this like makes you cringe. It feels like it wastes so much time. But to be fair, some people might be like, oh, this is my like creative outlet, and I like drawing these lines over and over again. Fair enough. But yeah, we all got to find our sweet spot there for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And that's something about something John doesn't get with me with the apps is why are you exploring all these apps? What's the point? I'm like, it's fun. It's literally it. I don't use 99% of them because I just physically couldn't. It's just fun exploring them. It's
like a curiosity.
Yeah, it's almost like when you're playing a game and you find like a new space in the world, or you find a new option, a new thing. You're like, I'm going to play with this. I'm probably not going to use it, but I'm going to play with it.
Yeah. Hey, if you have the time, then you're able to do it, and you find it fun. Why not?
Exactly. And the challenge with, I think, the creative space is finding a way. So I enjoy this thing. So how do I make this thing sustainable? That is totally what I'm trying to do.
Totally.
So how do I make me exploring applications sustainable?
Yeah. Do you think that will take the fun out of it? Like if you get to the point where you're feeling like, oh, I have to monetize this at some point, or I have to turn this into a business, do you think it'll change your approach on it? Or could you see something like Keep Productive, right? Where Francesco is exploring lots of apps, and he has been able to kind of build a channel off like being the one that knows kind of what's coming or explore certain features. Like, could you see yourself going in that kind of direction and maybe taking on sponsorships or that sort of thing?
Definitely. There are so many possibilities that I don't know which one to take. I mean, I know in my head I have about 11 different sources of revenue that I could go down. I'm currently hitting about 5 of them. There are loads more I could hit. And that's just YouTube specific. Then I go outside of YouTube, obviously, just business. So there's loads of revenue routes I could go down from a business perspective. As long as I'm having fun, I'm good.
Awesome.
Fun first, and then finances is as long as it's sustainable. I don't care about having loads of zeros, not fussed. As long as I have a house, food, and internet connection, ideally with enough equipment to do what I want to do, then I'm good. I know John keeps moaning at me, get a new PC. It works. He's probably
why does he want you to get a new one? Is it
I think I have like a 15th of the amount of like storage he does. So I have an external hard drive that's like 1 terabyte, and then my laptop, I don't even know, I think it's like 250 gigabyte storage, and that's my entire digital storage. And then like my laptop, I don't even know the specs. I don't understand it. I just know when John looked at my specs, he was like, how are you streaming with that?
What do you do for storing all your videos that you create? Like, are you backing those up somehow? Like, what's your process for doing those
External hard
backups?
drive. That's literally all I store. I have videos and obviously thumbnails and images and stuff on my external hard drive. And I don't really have to store anything else because it's all on applications somewhere.
In the cloud.
Yeah. I YouTube is kind of like a backup. Because if I lose my external hard drive, I just download it from YouTube and then I just have it again. So unless YouTube goes down, which hopefully it doesn't, when John and I said on a podcast, imagine if Google went down and literally the day we put that podcast out, the next day Google actually went down. You know, that the hour where Google went down, we were like, I think we've cursed it.
Famous last words. Yeah.
Yeah. So YouTube, don't go down, please. But yeah, I don't have that much to store currently. So I don't need it. Having said that, though, I would like a nice computer so I can use OBS rather than StreamYard. StreamYard is amazing, but it's limited. It's limited to an extent. Okay, Bass is in chat. I thought he was. When coding, you've got to spend 3 hours finding a missing. Yes.
I so remember those days. Oh yeah.
So I know because was it web development or web design?
A little bit of both. Like I used to build websites. That's kind of how I, got my start, if you will, just like designing and building WordPress websites. And so CSS, HTML, not so deep on the JavaScript side of things, but oh my gosh, CSS, like stray semicolons and suddenly the whole, break a whole website. And Shopify sites too. I used to do quite a few of those. So.
Okay. So
I kind of did it because I had to. Like, you kind of feel like you have to. Like, if someone's hiring you to do a website, you're sort of like, oh, okay, it just got easier and easier to design it in the browser than it was to like do this perfectly fleshed out, Photoshop mockup and then translate that to code. So I just got used to building in the browser and just kind of, I got faster. It was like easier with CSS than it was to build in Photoshop. So that was my background. And
so I am curious. Your website now. Do you still manage that, or is that part of your team? Or
I still manage it, but I definitely want to revamp it to make it kind of easier to publish because there are some limitations. I haven't updated the theme in 6 years. I don't even know, maybe more. Like it's just been on the same theme, there's lots of cruft and spam and whatever in there. So I just kind of keep tweaking and updating it. But I think I'd like to get my designer to rebuild it on a fresh install of WordPress and kind of put some better theming in place and make it easier and more discoverable to find old content that I've written.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because when I heard obviously you had a team, you had a designer brought in, I was thinking, oh, okay, is that designer going to go across the board? I know they've helped out with the templates, and I was thinking, I'm assuming they're going to go across the board branding.
Yes. So, for example, she helped me with the new YouTube header, and she did the Notion Mastery website. So she did such a good job on that and all the peripheral materials. I was like, oh, can you help me with my main site? And so she hasn't yet, but she's helping me figure out what are the components of the brand, what are the colors that I always use, kind of building some consistency so that if I'm saving a YouTube cover, it's like, oh, I kind of have consistent fonts and all of that stuff. So, it's stuff I used to do, but there's just so many activities. And when you're running a business, you're wearing so many different hats that I was like, you know what, let's have someone that is their specialty and they can be helping me with that stuff. So, you'll hopefully see some improvements over time too, to make more content discoverable.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny you say so many different hats. Coming from sports coaching, as a coach in sport coaching and everything, it's just context specific. There are so many hats that you have. Like you're the technical coach, the physical coach, the mental coach, psychology, and all the different things you put on it. Business is literally the same thing.
Oh yeah. So it's a masterclass on so many levels. And if you don't have any experience, and when you're just getting started, you're like, oh, I'm also a bookkeeper, an accountant, and a marketer, and a video editor. Ad just keeps going, right? And so to know how deep to go in these different pieces, I think it's such a challenge. So It's like a constant learning. Yeah.
And especially with the world that we have now, with the fact that marketing is content creation. Okay, is that images? Is that video? Is that filmmaking? How do you film it?
Writing? Yeah. Holy moly.
Like, what medium? Then you need those skills. Then it's storytelling, and then okay, how are you telling the story? What's your branding? And then you have the marketing, sales side with the content creation, with the business. You're like, help.
It's bananas. Yeah. And it can feel really overwhelming, and I think it kind of keeps people from taking that first step because they're just like, oh gosh, I don't know, and it just feels really overwhelming. And so you have to be willing to kind of embrace that unknown and be like, okay, like I'm gonna feel fairly incompetent for quite some time. Like you kind of have to embrace that, right? It's that temporary incompetence. And I think as I've talked a little bit about this, like as adults, I think we resist that so hard. Like we felt incompetent in school, and then we think like, okay, finally, like career begins, and then we sort of resist any time that we're like, oh, I hate that I don't know the answer and that I don't know this. But you have to get so comfortable with that and be like, cool, this is a skill. I'm just going to add this to my toolkit, and I'm going to spend the next couple of months feeling really incompetent learning this thing, and that's part of the process, right?
Yeah, I assume you know the four box model, the four corner model, the competence incompetence model, whatever you call it.
Like conscious incompetent, yeah. Moving up the
what is it? Oh yeah, there's four corners: incompetent, competent, incompetent, competence, and then like you're aware of being a competent and the rest of it. If you don't know it, Google it. It's easy. But the idea that, so for me anyway, I'm always unconscious. That's the one I was thinking of. I'm always unconsciously incompetent about something I don't know. Obviously, I don't know this thing. So I'm always in that zone. So there's no point trying to avoid it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm always there. I can't.
Like,
not
this is fun. Let's see where this takes me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where the space comes from. So I don't know whether you know this, but the space is the way I see my mind. As obviously time goes on, space increases, and I associate the planets and the matter with all the different things that I see, and combining those things together then makes whatever it is, like the planet, and then that has a story for it. That's the way my brain works, and it's always expanding. That time is always expanding, you're always going, and there's always like space in the middle of things. And it's okay. Let's try and bring stuff from there, bring it together. Now I'm learning.
Yes.
It's a bit of an out there way, but that's
it makes total sense to me. Yep.
Yeah, it's my attempt Sherlock Holmes mind palace type.
Yeah. I love it.
I've watched Sherlock Holmes so many times, and there are so many different versions of it as well. I'm like,
yeah,
I can relate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good Doctor. Have you seen The Good Doctor? It's a series. It's a series, and essentially it's about an autistic boy that wants to be a doctor, and he struggles because of his autism, not great at talking with people, and he gets the job because of his relation to the person high up in the hospital, and it's his story being an autistic doctor.
Wow.
I've never been diagnosed, labeled with anything because I just didn't go for those tests because I didn't personally see a point in the label. The label doesn't change anything. But I related with the whole story, like all the way through, and I was like, yep. And it's just associating, for me anyway, associating me with a character in a movie, in a story, whatever. It makes me feel like I'm not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, this kind of is a bit of a side tangent, but that's why like diverse stories are really important. It's important for people to be able to see other people in these scenarios that, I can relate to this. Like I am not crazy. Like this is a thing, right? Like it's important to see that. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, because in the app productivity space, like I was saying earlier, there's so many individuals, and you're like, everyone has their own character and story, and everyone can. I've watched a lot of YouTube because I like watching YouTube, so I know a lot of the stories, so I can associate other people's experiences and stories with whatever. I can learn from that.
Yeah,
which is like the creator world. It's so it's so fun watching those stories. And I feel videos and live streams are just different because you can see the person and who
Yeah.
they are, rather than the polished, this is my 10-minute
Yes.
video.
And
They
that's
don't
why
see the ums and the ahs.
live streams I think, are so much easier than doing that edited, scripted, simplified version of a video, right? Like, it's a lot of effort to distill your ideas into something really clear that doesn't, meander. But obviously, live streams are a lot more forgiving. It's like we are in conversation. It's messy. It's imperfect. It's just like, let's see where this goes. So it's very emergent, and it just has a different property to it.
Oh yeah, and I think you get the real experience of the person, the real opinions, not the researched. Okay, I've looked at this, I've scripted these things, and I know it's exactly what's in your head. If it's not there, you've forgotten it. You don't know. Because I feel like
people on the spot. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the people that ask questions of people, whether that's in YouTube comments or whatever, they get a researched answer. Like, I don't know, but if I was to ask someone in the audience, okay, what's your opinion on this? I don't know whether they've just Googled a definition or something and just gone, boom, there you go. I don't know. If they're on live, you can see what they're doing. Maybe I'm doing something on the side.
You can watch the gears turning.
You're like, does that person really know what they're talking about? It builds authority in the space, I think.
Yeah. Being able to think on your feet and answer questions in the moment. I think that freaks a lot of people out. But yeah, it's a skill that you can learn over time, and you grow, and you just get used to communicating your ideas over and over again, and they just keep getting refined, right? The more you talk through them. Yeah.
And live streaming's helped with my videos. My videos now are literally me going, turn the camera on, talk for 10 minutes, because I'm used to talking for 3 hours. I'll just talk for 10 minutes, and then that's it. And then it's just a quick edit. Maybe there's a couple of like bits in there where it's like dogs barking downstairs, or the builders next door making some noise, and I'll have to say it again. But it's a skill.
Or you keep it in there and you're like, oh, don't mind my dogs barking, right? And then they get to know you a little better.
maybe, but it was very, very repetitive. Maybe I leave one in there every once in a while.
One of my first YouTube videos way back in the day, there were crickets chirping like really loudly outside. But I live in a very rural area, and like I'm so used to it, I didn't really hear it. And so someone in the comments was just like, "Are those real, or is that part of the edit?" And I was like, "Oh, no, those are real." Whoopsies. So
I've watched all of those.
You're like, I remember that video. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there was a couple. But yeah, so this is something I like doing when I see a YouTuber, irrespective of their size. Normally the bigger YouTubers, because they have a lot of videos. But I go all the way back to the beginning.
Oh boy, yeah, you watched all the cringy, just learning how to YouTube. Yeah, it's so
yeah, exactly. I go back to the beginning.
But it's important to. I thought about this the other day. Like I keep them up there because I do want people to know this is something you can learn to get comfortable with. Like I definitely, like literally just yesterday, my husband sent me one of my old videos and was like, "Whoa, you sound so different," because I can feel like my voice is kind of caught. It's like caught in my throat, and there's like a shyness and a fear. And so there was just like your whole like body language and how you communicate evolves over time. And so it's cool to look back at the time capsule and be like, oh wow, I was so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. But practice, like it's just effort over and over again, just putting in the effort.
Deliberate skill. I've said it a couple of times. My first video, I had my phone because I was voice recording. I didn't want to be on camera, and I was like this the whole time. I was like,
yeah.
All of them are unlisted at the moment because they have nothing to do with applications at all. They are side tangent. I may unlist them at like make them public at some point. I don't know. At the moment they're unlisted. I think members of the YouTube channel can actually see them because I think I've just defaulted all the unlisted to members. So I think Sarah's in the chat, so Sarah may be able to see it. But yeah, and I'm not in the video. It's really, really bad edited. Like it's just awful. It's really cringy. But everyone starts somewhere. Everyone starts somewhere, and I like going back and seeing the YouTuber right back at the beginning and working the way through, because then I get a full story. Like,
yeah.
I've only gone through about 50 of Thomas Frank's videos, So I'm going to do an actual run through, and I've got
Ooh.
everything ready. I think because I watch everything times 2 speed and I skip arrows, I get through videos quite quickly.
Yeah.
So it won't take too long. I mean, it's still going to take a couple of days, but it won't take too long, and it will give me a better understanding of where his mindset goes when he makes videos. Curiosity, learning, all that sort of stuff. But then it's fun for me sitting through. Like I think it's something like 700 hours or something of content.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fun. I like it. Not for everyone, though. I understand. Well, okay, Homesick brought up an interesting point. Yeah. Offline mode coming. Working on it. I think I put up on stream on, I think it was Tuesday, they released the appearance tab, which I thought was pretty cool. Loads of like ideas about what they could do with the appearance tab with the light mode, dark mode, and the system settings. I was like, they could add this in there, they could add that in there. And then they mentioned in the tweet that offline mode is coming. So yes.
Very exciting feature. Yeah, that's huge.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to it. I do hope the offline mode will include the selectable pages. I don't want all the stuff on my H. Good point. That is a good point. I'm trying to think, is there any other way other than Twitter and the email to like get in contact with Notion? Because they're the only two that I can think of. It's just you tweet at them about something or you send them an email through their support thing. It's just those two, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, because I know Homesick knows those two. So I would imagine he's probably contacted them about it.
Best way to do it is through the app, and then it gets logged into their system, right, and added to the queue. So
as a ticket, I think they call it.
Yeah.
I think every app calls it a ticket, and I still don't get. I can't get my head around this. What ticket? But yeah. Right. Okay. Let's have a quick blitz through the comments. Any questions in here? What I'm actually going to have to do, because what I started when I started live streaming is I had a Google form in the description of the video where they could ask questions, and I could just use the Google form for all the questions.
Oh, cool.
Then I realized actually I can just keep up with the questions in chat. No, I can't anymore.
Back to the Google form. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. That would be interesting. What would be interesting? Currently, no channel has been able to replicate. Okay.
We're talking about the key productive angle. Yeah.
I'm going to challenge you on that one and actually disagree and say Simpletivity is also another really good channel that is essentially the same size as Francesco. I can't remember his name because I'm awful with names, but he does essentially the same thing, Simpletivity on YouTube. He does literally the same thing. Dototech is another one. I think he is bigger than Francesco. He's got 370k subs, something like that. So Dototech's actually bigger than Francesco. Francesco's UK-based, Simpletivity is America-based, and Dototech is Canadian-based. So they're three of the biggest app channels out there. Dototech doesn't necessarily focus on videos that much anymore, but he still has a weekly Wednesday webinar. Get that out. Where he talks about different applications, very similar to what I'm doing on my streams, which is where I got the inspiration from. But he talks about one app for an hour, and that's the webinar. So it's a very instructional thing. Sometimes he brings on people. So I think last Wednesday he brought on 3 people, a female, 2 males. I should know all their names because I follow them all and I follow all their work, but I'm just bad with names. And they brought on 4 apps that they liked. And it was kind of like a competition between them. Like the chat,
showdown.
The chat voted against what apps was good, and I knew all of the apps, and I didn't like any of them.
Oh, funny! People like what they like, though, right?
Yeah, exactly that. And I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. So replicating Francesco's success, he certainly has had success, but there are other channels that are very similar, and there are other channels that talk about applications, but it's not their main focus. Take Thomas Frank, for example. If you go back in his videos, most of his videos are what task manager I use, the best 10 task managers, the best 10 project managers, the best note takers. They are previous videos, and their videos actually did well for him early on that boosted his channel. Then he started doing note-taking related to study, then study theory, and now he's moved into productivity. So he actually started off essentially.
niche, and then yeah.
And when you look at a lot of the student channels, whatever they happen to be doing now, it's either they started off vlogging and then they did a video on an app or a device or something in the technology space that did well.
Yeah.
Then that got them traction, and then that's brought more people into the vloggy style stuff. So it's the app video or the apps videos that they do that gives them discovery, and then everyone starts to get to know them, and then they start moving along with all the vlogs and everything else that they're doing. So the app space is kind of used. I mean, look at Sarah Dici as an example. Sarah vlogged, then did laptop reviews. That did really well. She's interested in tech, and now she's a vloggy style tech reviewer channel. Is sort of like a bit of everything, but it's her.
Yeah.
It's who she is.
It's like you follow her because you like her as a person, or like the way she speaks,
Exactly.
her approach. Yeah,
exactly. And the tech brought the audience, but she kept the audience.
This is a really good point too, because this is something I've been I'm in Ali Abdal's part-time YouTuber Academy, and then signed up for his inner circle and stuff. And so there was a lot of talk around niching, right? And people were asking like, should I niche? Should I not? And I was sort of on the fence initially, like, do I want to be known as the Notion person? Like, I didn't know how deep I wanted to go down that rabbit hole, right? And I thought, I'm just going to do a chapter on this, right? I'm just going to let's just make a video every week for however many number of weeks. And then obviously YouTube exploded because of that. And I was like, whoa, okay. And then I kept making these videos. And so all of my videos mostly, or at least any time in the last year and a half, are mostly about Notion. And so in talking with Ali, right, I was like, well, what happens now when you've gotten known for a certain tool, but ultimately, I know the tool is just a means to an end. It's not the end. And so I want to make sure that I'm communicating what's next, or even other interests, right? So I do business design, I do consulting, there's so many other pieces. And so how do I talk about this when people came to me because of this, they expect this, but then I'm like, how do I pivot, or kind of what should that look like? And something he said was, people maybe found you because of Notion, but they stay because they like you. And so he's like, you're at a point now where maybe you've built up enough authority that if you wanted to talk about these other things, people would find that pretty interesting. So that was some confirmation that oh, okay, it's not totally out of left field if I do want to adjust the conversation a little bit. But I do think if you're looking for that initial traction, the tool is the entry point. That's the thing people are, how to do X and Y, and they can find you, and then you can kind of explore a little bit. So that's just my 2 cents on what I've discovered with the go hard on the tool first, and then you can open up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I have delved quite deep into the YouTube coach creator community, coaches community, the majority of them: Daniel Patel, Nick Nimmin, Dean Nimmin, Brian G. Johnson, Roberto Blake, Daryl Eves. Obviously, Mr. Beast isn't a coach creator, but still talks about it, and loads of other people. They all say essentially the same thing: is niche down to start with, so you're known for something, then build a community, and then start growing. And something that YouTube are actually bringing in as a add-on into the analytics, not like they have enough already, is they are categorizing viewers. So this isn't released yet, but do you know about it? It was in the Insider Creator update a couple of weeks ago.
I don't think so.
So what essentially they're doing is they're going to categorize viewers when they come into the channel as either, I can't remember the terms that they use because they keep changing, but essentially they're viewers that come in from discovery and then leave. So they're infrequent viewers, I think they're called.
Oh, interesting.
Where they watch one video and then disappear. That's the type of viewer. Or you have, I think it's sustainable viewers, where they watch just every video and they're just there all the time. And then you have infrequent viewers, which are people that will watch certain videos at certain times for whatever reason. And basically the differences between those three types of viewers. And what they found in their beta testing was the vlogging channels had a lot of consistent viewers because they knew the person, they stuck, but their reach was quite low because it was just focused for these people. Then you had the channels that are the how-to channels. They had loads of infrequent viewers because anyone looking for a how-to on whatever that tool was, they came in.
Found their thing, they're good, got my info, I'm out of here. Interesting.
Exactly. But once they found the info, they didn't stick around. So they got loads of views from loads of random people and then just disappeared again.
And I think that brings up, again, the point of there's like tracking numbers and like, oh, this video got this many views, right? But it's like there's actually so much nuance in that data. And so if you're not paying attention or you don't understand the interconnections and the nuances of, well, certain videos attract certain viewers, but those viewers aren't actually the ones that either buy my thing or, you know, join my community or whatever. So that's really interesting. There's a lot more nuance to just like, got some likes, but are they the right likes? Or is it the right kind of relationship that you want?
Yeah, especially with the bots. The bots on YouTube, just go away.
Oh, dude, the comments that get deleted. Whew, yeah, it's bad. It's pretty bad.
If I want to pick me up for whatever reason, I go to my held review section because it's just so fun to read through.
I know. Some of those troll comments become comments that my husband and I say to each other around the house. They're like really inappropriate, but it's like it's so funny now. We just have to laugh at it.
Yes. I mean, obviously, you get all the typical bot comments, and you just skip through all of those. But some of the comments people put up, I'm like, okay.
Are you okay, sir? Are you okay?
Like, how do you want me to even respond to that? What would you expect from that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's been a few of those. My favorite is when someone's like, you need to do X. They're like, you need to slow down and do. And I was like, I don't. I could, but like, don't tell me what to do.
The amount of times I want to put it like as a response to a comment. I'm like, did you watch the video? Did you read the description? Some people ask, is there a template for that?
I love Gray's comment. Some viewers are a relationship, some are a first date, some are a booty call. 100%. That is so true.
Yes, I'm bringing that one up. Yes.
Good call, Gray. I'm so curious, Gray, because I know Gray mentioned he's like, oh, like I'd continue to follow both of you, Notion or not. I'm curious, Gray, like how did you find Danny and I through the Notion world and kind of, I'm curious, like what does keep somebody watching and following along? Like what are the things that you like to hear? Because I know for me, like someone just said, like, I thought we were talking about productivity, right? And like, pretty, like some people are going to be disappointed where other people are going to be like, this is so interesting. I want to hear more about how you think about X or Y, right? So obviously in any kind of stream, you're not going to make everybody happy. And even in a YouTube video, right? People are going to be like, you should have gone slower. Someone's like, get to the point. Like I've literally had that on the same video where someone's like, I don't need the life story. And then like, but then someone else is like, oh, I love that you like got right to the point. This was like life-changing video. I'm like, this is fascinating to maneuver. Like, how do we?
The one thing I love saying to most of those people, I don't say it like publicly in the comments, just because obviously it's going to trigger people. But it's a video for a reason. Like you can pause it if you want, you can slow it down if you want, you can speed it up, you can skip through it, do what you want with it. Like it's a video for a reason, and plus it's also free.
Yeah, that always boggles my mind. I'm just like, I'm sorry that I spent this time making a free video for you that like made you mad because it didn't answer your question exactly. Oh, it cracks me up.
Yeah, this may be the answer to the comment. Speaking about Francesco, I found out thought, but I also but I also got sick of all of his talk about Notion combined with my own frustration. Yep, okay. I saw the end of it. Eventually came back, discovered, there we go. Eventually came back, discovered Marie, Danny, and others, and got on track with my own Notion system. Okay, yeah. So it sounds like, so this is something from a creator perspective that I know, I don't know whether John's still listening in, but I know John was saying he didn't want to make videos because he was going to make videos that I had already made, but he's not me.
Yeah.
Just because you're saying the same thing as someone else doesn't mean the person's going to receive it the same way. So you could say the same thing, just literally the same words, different tonality, different voice, and someone may get it.
Style, and just resonance too. Like some podcasts, right? Like I find some podcasts really hard to listen to because I don't like the speaker's voice, or it feels a little more grating on the ears. Whereas other people, like there's something about their delivery style that is very appealing. And so I think we all have to kind of remember that we resonate with some people and we don't with others, and that's part of the deal, right?
Let's take bets. I think I must have scrolled past something, Kim. There must have been a conversation that I just scrolled past because I didn't see a question mark in the comments. Minimum 3 hours for sure. Oh, they're betting on how long this is going to be.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Okay, how long has it been? Hour 40. There we go. I was thinking maybe 50 minutes. Never mind. My sense of time is atrocious when it comes to this. I thought it was going to be about productivity. Oh, that must have been the comment you were referencing.
Exactly.
Productivity. Define it.
Yeah.
What is productivity?
That's another good point too. Like I sent out one of my newsletters that was like sharing my gardening permaculture template, right? And then I was speaking to how Notion was the tool that helped me organize my ideas and learning around gardening and permaculture. And then I was like, and here's the template. So I sent that as my newsletter, and someone was like, more productivity, please. And I actually just like promptly unsubscribed them, because I was like, I'm sorry that, like, whether you're a gardener or not, you could have taken something from that, or I still think it's, when I follow people and they're sharing, a variety of pieces of their life and how they apply productivity in their lives, that is interesting to me, right? Like I want to hear how people are approaching their life with these productive tools and whatever. So the idea that it wasn't exactly aligned with what you wanted, I was like, this was still about productivity, but it was productivity in the garden, or kind of how I'm thinking and organizing my ideas. But if you can't look beyond the exact template and see that value, I was like, oh, like, I don't know that you're going to enjoy my list. I'm just going to remove you. But so, yeah, how do we define productivity? What does that mean? We're talking about it in the context of even our own brands and what we want to be doing with our time. And there's so many different angles we could take to this. But yeah, I'm curious what people want to.
So my brain, as you probably gathered, kind of interweaves.
Yeah.
I've been watching New Amsterdam. It's a series about doctors. I will get to where we're going in a second. What was it? It was season 2, part of an episode, and essentially it's about a doctor, so medics and the rest of it. And there was a guy that was terminally ill, and he was a mathematic professor, and he wanted, the only reason that would make his life feel better is if he understood it. He needed a finite answer. There was no solution to why he was ill. And he was logical minded, and he needed an answer to this thing, but there isn't an answer because it's a concept. It's not a discrete, like there is an end point. It's just, there's loads of ideas, there's loads of ways to interpreting it. It's space, and productivity is space. There's so many things involved in it, and when you try to define, like go into Google and try to define productivity, it will probably go to product output in machines or in factories or things like that. That's what productivity is supposed to be. How do you relate that to personal productivity? I'm outputting a certain amount of hours into this thing that isn't, like, I don't know.
And that's a good point there, right? Like productivity is videos with timestamps. Live stream, I often don't think live streams are the place to go for, like, I was expecting some like very specific productivity advice, right? Like live streams, I think, kind of lend themselves to that meandering conversation and kind of these offshoots and different questions and whatever. So yeah, that's a good point. Go to the videos with timestamps and the really edited, curated videos for your productivity how-to. Yeah.
Exactly. And so this is something, so I made a video called The Productivity Consumer. I think I've changed the title of it, but it still says at the start. And it's a bit of like a sketch humor. It was just fun to make, fun. And it was me taking the mickey out of myself, and loads of people resonated with it. It was like, I'm going to watch this video about Notion and then watch all the other videos about Notion I have in my watch later list, and watch it at ×2 speed whilst pushing the arrow key, finding answers to questions I didn't have to start with.
Yeah. And like, didn't get anything done on my to-do list, but I did learn a lot about Notion.
Exactly. And right at the end of the video, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm finally ready after all of this stuff. And then like more videos get posted. I'm like, right, okay,
yeah,
I'll watch them all. And it's the same with that productivity. If you want to find something out, just Google it, and someone will have answered it. If you want to find different concepts, ideas, potentially like stay up to date, I wouldn't say up to date is like the right word, but fresh with views, thoughts, opinions, what's going on in the world, then I think a live stream is the best place for it, because a video gets old quick.
Yeah, true. And again, it's that chance for people in the chat to be like, hey, I'm curious, what do you think about this? Or what's your approach to this? And yeah.
I mean, if, fingers crossed, Notion bring out a weekly calendar view, a lot of the weekly agenda videos kind of become redundant.
That's a good point too, right? You kind of have to be always willing to, there's always new features, new approaches, new ways of doing it. Yeah.
Especially when looking at apps, obviously, looking at loads of apps, going into YouTube, you see, oh, this is how you do this in whatever it is. And it's a year-old video and the user interface is completely different. Like, the button's not there anymore.
Yeah, or someone will be like, this video didn't cover X. And I was like, look at the video that I posted right after that. Like, you can go into my history and see all of that stuff. So yeah.
That goes back to the comments again. People are like, oh, you realize this music in the background is something that comes up a lot on some of my older videos. Music's too loud, music's too quiet, you shouldn't have music. Have you looked at the other 70 comments that say the same thing? And where I've responded and said, all of my recent videos don't have any music in. Did you check? Just little small gripe there, but...
Oh, I know.
It's just like...
I saw Gray saying productivity videos are like, it's like productivity porn, right? Yeah, unrealistic expectations, everything's beautiful and organized. And so that's why seeing how people really apply it, I think is really interesting, right? Like, what does a day in your life actually look like? How much time are you spending in that tool? What is it all? And you don't really know when you're just seeing like pretty screen caps of people's templates and stuff, but like, show me what the messy middle and the in progress stuff actually looks like.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to like read through. I'm like, is there a question mark? Is there a question mark? No, there isn't. No, there isn't. Yes, we're good. I have caught up. I'm at the start. I did kind of skip through.
We did it.
I did skip through a lot of the comments, and I was like, that looks like a really interesting comment that I'd love to talk about, but I need to see if there was a question.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's got questions, pop them in. Always happy
make sure there is a question mark there, so I can see it.
Marie.
or Marie, like Marie can be my eyes as well.
Oh, just laughing. Yeah, Marie's incredibly polite. Nice to see a productivity app maestro who doesn't seem to be on Adderall. Thank you.
Thank you, I think.
Oh, that's funny.
It's interesting, actually, that sort of brings up the personality, the characteristics, style of delivery, obviously, again, with the characteristics. John and I, when we started the podcast, we knew that a lot of our audience was going to be business focused, but we still stuck with the I'm going to say it. We're immature. We're children. We're having fun. But that's us. That's us being authentic.
Yeah.
And everyone delivers the same content differently. Everyone delivers it differently. Different energies, different vibes. You're very polite. I cannot be sometimes.
Well, what's so funny about that is, like, I actually added onto my Twitter, what did I say? Occasionally inappropriate, because I do feel like, especially if I'm on a live stream or I'm in conversation or whatever, I do by default like swear a lot. Like when I'm at home talking with my husband, swear quite a bit, and also maybe have some like not so super appropriate, not safe for work comments. And sometimes I'll tweet things that are maybe not super appropriate. And so I think that's been something interesting to navigate, is like how honest to be when you show up. And then also there's that, while I'm not paid by Notion, there is an association there, right? And so when you, in a way, feel like you start to represent a brand, and then I'm like, oh, do I have to be a little more censored with like how I would talk about that on Twitter? Like that becomes a thing. And so that the politeness comment is funny, because I do think I may be a little more careful online than I might be in person.
Yeah. So I was very, very conscious about how I came across, partly because of my history. I didn't want to come across. Yeah, I didn't want to come across like me. Like, I am me, like right now. If you were to meet me in person, or I mean, you've obviously been on stream before, but when the stream closes, I'm still the same person.
It's the same,
yeah. Whereas other people, I feel like you can almost tell sometimes you're performing for the camera,
or a little reserved, or yeah.
And I'm like, nah, I can't do that now. Previously, I did, and in the videos, I am quite a lot. But now I'm like, no. And that's why I want to live stream, because going back to what I said, what was it, like an hour ago now? It's the authenticity of the live stream brings that connection that you just don't get with videos. Absolutely. So my recent obsession with chess, which didn't come from the Queen's Gambit, I'm going to add, come from that. But it definitely played a part, like having watched it afterwards. Gotham Chess is someone that I followed for a while, just like on and off. I'm not sure whether you're aware of him, like Levy, and his videos, because chess is obviously for young people and older people. So his videos, he's very, very professional. His live streams could not be more opposite.
Oh, interesting. I love that.
I will
like,
say live streams on Twitch though. So
okay. So it's like, yeah, different audiences. Yeah, it's sort of like if I'm making a video about Notion, I kind of like it. This is for the masses. This is for people to answer a specific question. So it's going to be a little bit more tailored or polished or whatever. But I do think I've made a couple comments maybe in an office hours where I was like, "Ooh, it's like seeing inside someone's underwear drawer." And then a client of mine was like, "That was hilarious. I can't believe you said that." And I was like, "Was that?" Is it too far? Like, oh, you kind of have to just be a little more cautious, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely navigate the words a little bit.
Yeah. Just be very careful. Like that little half step second to be like, wait, is that what you really want to say? Be careful. This is immortalized on video. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have seen other bigger influencers where they've done a lash out at something, whether that could be political, religious, or just a general thought about something. And because they have an influence, because they're influencers, they suddenly get their audience as well agreeing or disagreeing. And then suddenly this big uproar thing. And that's where all the trends and the drama and stuff happens. And moving into the influencer space, you suddenly think, okay, should I say that? Shouldn't I say that? What can I say? What can't I say? You much more than me at the moment, because your audience is much larger than mine.
But yeah, it is a thing to think about. Like, oh, if your words carry a certain influence at a certain point, it's like I want to be like mindful of what I'm saying and how I'm saying it. And I know there are many people on Twitter that like to say things to get a reaction, and they love to stir shit up, and that's their jam. They love doing that. But I think often beginners take it as gospel, and they're like, oh, well, this productivity guru said X, and therefore that is kind of the law. And so I am a huge believer in nuance and doing what works for you. So I don't ever take like a very like, this is the way, and even like Notion is not the tool for everyone, right? So I am very careful when I share an opinion about something. It's like, here's what worked for me. This is not the way to do X thing. And it bothers me, I think, when people take like such a strong stance that they're not willing to leave any room for nuance. Like, like Tiago was like, evergreen courses are dead, like cohort-based courses are like, this is the way, right? I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like,
I'm so glad you said Tiago, because I've mentioned Tiago on previous streams, and that's exactly who I thought of, and I was like, I'm not going to say it in case it's not that person.
Yes, and I know he does it because he like whatever. For him, it's also a research tool. He'll say something very provocative because there's his research. He's got this incredible Twitter thread now, and like he can crowdsource that research, and that's fine. That's his approach. But I'm like, no, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I want people to come to their own conclusions. So taking more of a coaching approach, right? You're like coaching someone else to arriving at their own opinion on something. So you know the deal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many like references to coaching that I could go into, but I'm not. But the guiding the student to the answer in some way, whether that is helping them navigate whatever it happens to be, or just making them aware of something. Some people aren't aware of things that you're talking about, which I had to realize that when I first did my first Notion video, my sister watched it. She was like, how do I make it that big? I was like, oh, the width view. Yeah, I didn't show that toggle bit. And you don't know what they don't know. So it's like,
until you put out a couple videos and people are like, you didn't explain how to do that from scratch. And I was like, but I thought I was. Oh, okay. Back to basics, I guess.
Yeah, and it's the same with everything we think about, because obviously we have a thought process. We go through like A, B, C, and we come to this result. And a lot of people, when they put things out there, they share the result, but not the process to get there. Mm-hmm. And then they have to find their own process to get to your result. And a lot of the times it's completely different.
Yeah.
Different route. You're like, okay, you get to the same result. You're talking about this thing. And then you go back in your brain of thought, and then they go back in theirs. You're like, wait, what? How did you get there? Yeah. Oh, such a fun place to navigate as well. Okay, question. Do you think Notion will get to a point where sensitive private data and docs can be embedded? I'm assuming that's local private data. I'm not sure. Sensitive private data, I would imagine, is going to come with, to some extent, I don't know whether it's going to come with the offline update or to some extent, like the privacy settings, because if you have access to offline data, I don't know how the backend would work, but that gives you like a side section. I don't know how to code, but I'm guessing the offline is going to tailor into that.
Yeah, I don't
know. I know when it comes to the other applications we've explored, a lot of people have wanted the ability to embed local file documents inside the app, which I haven't found an app that does it. It always comes up to a link that opens the file in the local drive rather than opening the thing.
And that's why I'll often drop a Dropbox link in there, right? Like everything's kind of saved to Dropbox, so I just paste my Dropbox links in there. But yeah. Yeah,
so I guess, I can't think of another way around it.
Yeah, I certainly don't keep too much sensitive private data in there. Yeah, nothing that would,
Yeah, I mean, I don't...
Like no passwords, nothing like that. Yeah, no health private data.
My passwords are up here. Do you have a password manager?
Yes, 1Password. I don't know how I would survive with that 1Password. Oh my goodness.
Well, so this is actually a conversation I had a few times on stream during the last week, and I have a process. I have a formula to make the password. So I have a master password, and then I change it depending on aspects of the thing. So I know I should probably get a password manager, but it's like I've been doing it for so long.
Hey, if it works for you, keep doing what you're doing
until it breaks.
Until it breaks. Yeah.
Yes, right. Gail, are you watching on both platforms and you're watching on Twitch to ask like longer questions or something? I swear, like Gail P is Gail Powell as well. Question: Notion, secure data and files. Oh, is that the same question you just asked on Twitch as well? Do you think Notion will ever secure data enough? Do you have private docs and data? Yeah, I think that's the same question. Or should I that just? I am reading that right, aren't I?
We knew what she meant.
Yeah. No, I was like, what? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've been streaming for almost 2 hours, Gail. Right.
Cut him some slack now.
Okay. I've seen influencers unlash their flying monkeys. Flying monkeys. I like
unleash that. Their flying monkeys. Yeah. Funny. Interesting.
Yeah. That's. I mean, obviously, I don't want you to name drop, but I can think of a couple. I think it's what is it? Something out of the pram? Is it toys out of the pram? The expression, like throw their toys out the pram. Yeah, throw their toys out the pram. Oh, yeah. You see, and that's why streams are fun to watch. I don't always like engage in the chat because a lot of streamers like can't engage in all the chat with what's going on, and you just sit there and listen. And you're like, yeah, you're really having a moan about that thing on stream.
Having a moan.
Like it's sort of like releasing it all out into the.
Oh, Ed was kind of apologizing. No need to apologize, Ed. I didn't take offense to your telling me that I was polite. All good.
Yeah. No, that's one of the harder parts, I think, being this side is you read the words, but like I was saying with the conversation, you read the words and you're like, is that said in a nice way, in a not so nice way? And when you're answering, you're like, how do I get the tone of this conversation right? And it's the same in the Zoom call when they don't put the camera on. You're like, I can't see you.
I don't know what you mean. Was that sarcasm? Yeah.
Yeah, those conversations. I am wary of your time. Like I don't want to sit here talking for hours and hours and hours on end because I know you're a busy person.
We can do it again, but no, I love it's just fun to catch up, even just outside of just the tool stuff. I don't know if you had that in mind, but that's what these conversations are really fun, right?
Because it's on YouTube, I need to say like Notion Mastery. We're talking about tools, and the conversation started off with tools.
Sorry, we lied to you. No.
It's kind of like that clickbait thing. It's like, okay, yeah, we brought you in for a tool, but you still got other value, I think. Hope.
Feel free to, you could always rename the stream, right? Like Danny and Marie just bantering about shit.
Yeah, I mean, with the YouTube, like you do the SEO for the video you could do the SEO for the live stream, like, oh yeah, and then you're ranking top for whatever it happens to be for however long you're streaming. And then like the video, like the live stream drops and you're like, okay, actually this is what we did.
Yeah.
This is what actually happened.
You never really know what you're gonna get, right? When you
Yeah, exactly. And with my live streams moving forwards, I think that's probably how I'm gonna go, because like I can't stay on topic.
Yeah, like I'm gonna have a couple live streams myself this month, and just being like conversation with X, like, and we're just gonna have a conversation, and like this is a theme, but like let's see where it goes, and join or don't join, right?
Yes,
it's way easier to do that.
I will be listening unless I'm streaming. What time do you normally stream? Will it be the same time? Yeah, will it be this time?
Yeah, probably morning time. Yep. So one's going to be with my coach, Tanya Geisler. She's a leadership coach that specializes in the imposter complex. So she's somebody that I hired when I was like really trying to get over my fear of being seen. So that was a long time in the making. So that's why, again, I would not have ever thought I would be on YouTube. So
yeah,
you can work through it if people are afraid of that and just like scared to get started. Right?
I don't think anyone that knew me, like anyone that knew me before last year, would have even thought I would like even make a video, let alone live stream. Like live stream is just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like, I was the quiet person that never spoke in class. I just did as I was told. I kept my head down. I was quiet. Like no one. I was known as Hatcher because no one really knew like my first name. And the only reason they knew me by Hatcher is because that's what all the PE teachers called me, Hatcher, and that was my last name.
The quiet nerd. Yeah, I was pretty quiet and nerdy myself.
Yeah, sitting in the background, doing their own thing, keeping quiet. Yeah, now I'm suddenly on YouTube. It was actually that was kind of funny so Sarah, I don't know whether she's still in chat, but Sarah was watching Brian's stream yesterday, and Sarah mentioned that Brian and I should do a collab together. And Brian hadn't seen my channel, so he Googled me and he went up and down the whole Google search trying to find something. And then he ended up going onto Twitch to see if I streamed on Twitch. And I was like, you could have clicked any of those links and it would have gone to my stuff. But I didn't want to say that in chat. But the first one was First one was my website. Second one was my YouTube. Third one was my Facebook. Then it was my LinkedIn. And then it was like some of the blog posts that I'd done. I'm like, you could have clicked anywhere and it would have been my stuff. But he went to Twitch and found me anyway. And I was like, okay. And he's just like, wow. I don't know whether you did this when you were at school. You go in and like you Google your name to see what people come up. Like, who has the same name as me? I used to do that at school so much. Like, just being like everyone in IT. Like, it was one of the first things we did. Like, who has the same name as us?
Oh no, I know. I mean, now as an adult, it's like I have a Canadian senator and the woman who won gold medal hockey in the Olympics. So my traffic momentarily spiked a couple times, and I get a lot of emails that are not meant for me. But there's not too many Marie Poulin.
Yeah, I'm the same. There's not many Danny Hatches. John, complete opposite. No, John Stewart.
Yeah. So yeah. That's a tricky one.
A couple of comedians, a couple of pro-American football players. So yeah, he's struggling to rank. Type in Notion next to it and he's good.
Yeah, totally.
So right, I like I say, I'm wary of your time, so I don't want to go over 2 hours. Well, I think we've gone over 2 hours, haven't we? Yeah, we've gone over 2 hours. I thought I was going to time it right, and then I was like, no. Is there any other questions?
Is there anything else that, like, I don't know, that you want to know or you want to chat about before we wrap up? I'm a pretty.
I mean, if you've got more time, we can keep going. It's just I saw your auto response email, and I was like, okay, she's obviously busy today.
Oh, yeah, right. My assistant handles my email. That's how I get to inbox zero. Have somebody else do it. Pro tip. There's my productivity tip.
That was something I wanted to ask you about when it comes to applications, teams.
Yeah.
I know you explore apps, not, as you mentioned at the beginning of the stream, not as much as some people. But I know you were using Calendly. Now are you using SavvyCal instead of Calendly, or like?
Experimenting with
process
SavvyCal.
work?
Yeah, like I've been following, I think it's is it Derek Reimer, I think, who made Savvy Cal. But I follow a lot of indie creators and SaaS creators on Twitter and stuff. And I saw him post, if you signed up for Savvy Cal, they would credit you whatever you've already paid for your Calendly account. And I'd seen a couple people with Savvy Cal, and I was like, I've been using Calendly forever. Like, why would I want to change? But there was something about being able to set limits, like max 3 events per week or even per month, or like there was a lot more granular control. And just given like the number of podcast interviews and just people that I'm connecting with, I just need to be really, really careful about my time and how much availability I give for people. So you have a lot of control with one link, but being able to give people an option to choose 30, 60, 90 minutes, to say like, oh, as soon as one is booked up in the week, that's done. There was just a lot more granular control that didn't involve going into individual events and customizing every single one. So I thought, let's give it a try. And usually when I find a tool and I love it, I'm in for life. Like, we are in this together. But if there's some pretty key features that I'm like, well, for roughly the same price point and very low effort to move, I think that's the other piece of it too. Like, how much time and effort is it going to take me to move from this tool to this tool? Some tools are a lot, a bigger burden, like moving an email provider can take a bit of time. I know ConvertKit will do like, oh, we'll merge all your data over. Like, we got this for you, right? Like, they're willing to do that for you. So the cost of switching's got to be pretty darn low.
Okay. So is it just you on like using that tool?
At the moment, yes. So when I was using Calendly, my assistant had access to that and could set up events and adjust my schedule and stuff like that. But now that I'm doing way less one-on-one communication, I just needed something like simpler. Like, it's one link. It's always the same link that I can share with people. So it's she's got access to it too if she needs it. But for the most part, I'm just not able to do, like, I just can't do so many one-on-ones anymore, right? It's just like the number of people that are DMing me on Twitter with like, hey, I built this app and I'd love for you to review it, and like just nonstop, and not even personal. Like, sometimes they're personal. So even just trying to discern what is a legitimate, really good connection that has come through and what is just someone spamming me with their ideas and stuff. So that's one thing that's been kind of unfortunate, is just like, I have to be super careful and really boundaried about like, okay, like if I respond to everybody, I'm not going to get any work done. So how do I make sure, to kind of be a little bit more careful with that? And that's hard, right? Like, as a people pleaser and someone that loves like connecting with people, I'm like, yay, like if I could just get paid to connect with people all day, yay, that'd be awesome. And it's also exhausting too, right? So you have to know like how much is enough and when to be like, whoa, Marie, like you overdid it and now you need a week to recover of not seeing any humans, right? It takes some time.
Yeah, I think so. Something you mentioned that brought up in my head is like, how do you know to trust that person? Because there's so many scammers out there. How do you know to trust that person with the link that they've sent you, or with the conversation they've had, or anything like that? From me anyway, like for me, some of the people that have sent me stuff, there's kind of like like a sixth sense sometimes when I open emails or open messages. I'm like, I don't know about this.
Yes, I think you're right. Your gut kind of tells you quite a bit. And I mean, pro tip, like, give someone a freaking compliment first. Like, mention anything about what I've done or why you follow me. To just be like, hey, Marie, we've noticed that business owners, blah, blah, blah. And then just like sent me a link. And I was like, you didn't even say like, I really love your content, or I've been watching what you're doing with Notion. Like, say anything that acknowledges why you're connecting with me in the first place. And if they don't do that, I don't even answer. Because I like, honestly, the time it would take to answer all of those, text expander snippet. Thank you for your right. Thank you for your inquiry, and just send them a text expander snippet, because like, it's rude. I think it's kind of rude. It's you don't know me, and the first thing that you're doing is you're asking me for my time or asking me for something.
Yeah, and something that I've noticed as well with a lot of the emails that I get from different people. I'm not going to name anything, but some of the emails I get, I'm like, okay, first of all, you still have some of the default text you have in there, like your name.
And then when you can see that the font has kind of switched out a little bit, yeah.
Like, okay, the font's different there, and you're reading it and you're like, this doesn't sound like anything that I do. Like I've had some emails come to me and I'm like, okay, this seems like a very generic email sent to this type of channel, not my channel.
You can tell when it's not customized or it's not relevant. So unfortunately, some people will slip through the cracks, and maybe I won't reply, and that kind of sucks. It's part of the process, I guess. Hopefully, people, if they care enough, they'll follow up again, and they'll be like, "Hey, I just want to like check in on this again."
Yeah. I think making it personable. Wow, personable. English, personal in some way, sort of doing a bit of background research of the person.
Just even one sentence will like give me a little compliment. We are good to go.
Exactly. Make me feel good.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Gail had a question. I've been hovering over it for a bit. What are your opinions on Evernote? Do you still use it? Have you experienced glitches like others?
I was a huge Evernote user. I was probably one of their like early beta users. I used it for like a decade. I don't even know how long. No, I do not use it anymore. Since using Notion, I think I've maybe opened up Evernote twice to find a thing and then moved it over. I did not import it. I do not miss it. It was great while I was using it, but what I can do in Notion, and again, being so much more of a visual person, and just being able to filter information in interesting ways. To me, it just felt like a glorified filing cabinet with like folders and folders and folders, just the way that I would on my computer. Not inspiring, not exciting to me. It's quite practical, right? Like I would often have automations and IFTTT that would like, if this happens, if I star something, send it to Evernote. So I did a lot of automations like that were just for like storing receipts and kind of keeping some communication. But I don't miss it. I don't use it anymore. It's like,
have you seen their dashboard update thing?
Nope.
So as soon as I saw the dashboard update, I looked at it and I was like, that looks very Notion-esque inspired.
Interesting.
I mean, I don't think it came from Notion because a lot of other note-taking apps have kind of taken the same approach, but essentially they have a quick capture note section thing where you can make a note on your dashboard. It's like, okay, it's spoken about in the Notion community and just general note-taking community. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then they have an AI suggested note section from your archive. I was like
related notes, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, it's interesting. I still don't like Evernote, but it's interesting. It's like one of those tools. I'm like, it's got some nice features, but I don't like it.
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
I think Evernote is kind of becoming, I feel it's becoming redundant in the note-taking space because of how long it's taken them to update themselves, especially with the other apps that are out there. Ample Note, Nimbus Note,
Rome Obsidian, in a way. Yeah.
It's falling. Gail followed up. So to give you a bit of context on this one, John said his list of apps when it comes to task management, project management. I think he's listed most of them there. Yeah. Task management, project management, calendar, email, note-taking. I think, and then we also included the integration thing if we did have one between them. I kind of bailed out because I don't have a toolkit stack. I have some apps that I'm using at the time, but because I'm exploring so many applications, I don't really sit with one. I have a system that I can apply to pretty much any of them.
Yep.
So if you ask me what my toolkit is now, it's different to what it was when they asked me then, and it will probably be different tomorrow.
I've got my Notion board up here that's got like our tools, and I've got a big list here. So we've got.
You can share it if you want. But it depends how you're training. You could just go
messy. Okay, so like 1Password, obviously, BusyCal. I still use Airtable, Descript, Brain.fm, CleanShot, ConvertKit, Crowdcast, Dropbox, Drip, Fireflies.ai for auto transcription, Free Agent for sending invoices, Hey.com for email, HelloSign for getting signatures on contracts, Gumroad, Kit.co. That's like a way to easily share your gear and things that they've got on your desk. Stream Deck, Thrivecart, Whimsical for mapping out ideas. Zapier, huge, obviously use that every day. TransferWise, Stripe, Loom, Notion, obviously, ScreenFlow, Super.so, TubeBuddy, Typeform, Text Expander, Numi. I love Numi. That's actually, I think that's like an not super well known, underutilized
Yeah.
app. I use it for like budgeting and stuff.
Mhm.
Marco Polo.
I realized I'm going here going, yep.
Do you use all of it?
If anyone has any questions about any of the apps that she's mentioned or softwares, because some of them are like softwares over apps, do let us know, because I know all of them, but I realized that not everyone knows all of those apps. So if you do have any questions,
Yeah, and someone also asked me like, what is my technical stack? And so I'm going to be sharing a blog post about this too that'll have all of these listed out. And I'll probably do a YouTube video about it too, just to share like what are the ones that I use pretty much daily and weekly, like what's in my stack, and then what do I also recommend for my clients as well. Because a big part of what I used to do before all this Notion stuff was like helping my clients implement a whole technical stack to run their whole business, their online courses and everything. So I got used to like, okay, who's the best like payment processor? Who's the best for this? What's the most user-friendly? And having to teach clients that weren't technically savvy how to use all these tools. So that kind of became my background of like, how do you glue all these pieces together and have people running businesses when they aren't themselves very technical? And so that's kind of how I got my start. Like, that's why I was learning all these different tools. It's like, oh, I need to help Barbara take better notes, and what should I recommend? And so it was really just to make my own job easier, to kind of help them be able to do their thing.
Yeah, I'm curious. Out of all those apps, Airtable's one stuck with me. What do you use it for?
At the moment, it's the easiest way to collect a lot of onboarding information. So when somebody signs up for the course, they fill out all of the information. And so it's kind of like a really big glorified sales database, really. And just, yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking, but I was like, because I can't think of any other use for, like, with all the apps that you listed, that's the only thing I could think of, basically, like form collection, the behind data thing.
Yeah, and I mean, if there was an easier way, like I love, chilipepper.io for form collection inside of Notion, but there's limited number of fields, and we do collect quite a bit of information in that. So unfortunately, at the moment, the easiest way to do that is through Airtable. If I could do that in Notion, I would totally be doing that. I used to do that in Notion, and we used to kind of copy paste, do a little bit of copy paste. I used to do Typeform and export that into Notion, but that's not super sustainable. So Airtable is, I know, Gray, I know, like it is the easiest way to automate, like Stripe payment happens, connect that up to their Airtable account, like all the records are all connected. If I could do that in Notion in a way that didn't waste a ton of time, I would totally be doing that. So yeah.
Thank you, Abby. Yes, I do forget to drink. Like I've been live for 2 hours 15. I'm like not even halfway through a glass. I think you've gone through like 3 glasses or something.
I went through a whole. There we go. Got my water going for today.
Yeah, I'm just yeah. There was Gray mentioned something, and I was like, got a point. It's interesting. So okay, it's a Brit talking with a Canadian.
That's funny. ESL.
Yeah. So it's actually interesting. Most of my audience are American. I think it's probably because there are more American people than UK people, just in general. But yeah, I think it's like 70-something% of my audience are from America.
Interesting.
And they all think I have an Australian accent for some weird reason. No, it's not an Australian accent. I don't know whether it's the same for you, but I hate it when an American person tries to do an English accent. I would imagine it's similar with like Canadian accents. Like, do people try to?
Yeah, actually, you're right, because my husband's American, right? So there's certain words that he'll say, like tour. And I was like, you mean tour? He's like tour. Like, so there's like, or pool that sound like pole, and there's a couple things like that. And I think I went to meet a bunch of his friends, and I said, oh, we just came from the house, and they were like, house, ha! They were like laughing at me, like, where are you from? I was like, what? I just said house, but I guess I gave myself away with
yeah. And I mean, even John, like I say, even John, like John and I are both from the UK, but I'm southeast, he's southwest, and there's literally like 3 hours drive between us.
Oh, it's wild, the differences of the accents.
Yeah, like I can drive like an hour north, completely different accent to if I was to drive an hour west or east. And I mean, it's probably because the UK is quite small in comparison to America and Canada. But I can drive an hour, completely different accents, and I don't understand half the words that people say.
I know, that's what is fascinating to me, that Canada is so freaking huge. And yes, there's like subtle differences between like a really East Coast accent and the West Coast, but they feel way more similar than, say, Northern England. And like Ben's mom is from the UK, so she's from York. But she lives in Kentucky. And so like she has like a very, when she goes back home, they think she sounds hilariously American. She's not British enough for them and then not American enough. It must be tricky.
Yeah, I've got quite a few friends obviously from the UK, and we all started obviously Eastbourne, southeast, near Brighton. It's like an hour south of London. I've sort of gone up the cities to roughly where I am. And they've all gone like an hour this way, half hour that way. In some aspects, I've got a friend that lives in Haversham, which is like 15-minute drive. I can't understand half the words that she says anymore. I'm like, what are you talking about? What is that? That's not a word. That's not English.
And even like different slang, right? Just different. Yeah.
They're adopting different abbreviations for different terms, and obviously slang in English. There are so many words that mean the same thing. Like, what is that? Oh, you're 15, not 16, so you're using that word instead of this word. I'm 24, so I'm like 13 iterations of this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Americans try and replicate those things, and I'm like, no, you sound like you're from 1800.
Yeah, or you're like mixing up all the different accents. You're like, it's inconsistent. Yeah, it must be so tough.
That word's from Liverpool. That word's from Manchester. That word's from London. That one's from like 1950. Just stop, please. It's painful listening.
I can imagine.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, back to chat. And I didn't know. I thought she'd left, or maybe she's just come back. I know people leave and then like come back because they've got stuff to do.
And they're like, are they still going? Yeah.
I got that yesterday. Sarah and Nerd and Engineer both said, I didn't think you would still be live. Sorry. And that's me talking. That's me talking about like an app to myself. I now have someone to bounce off of. I know John and I are planning we're planning a 12-hour stream at some point, but I think it's going to be quite easy because
hackathon.
Yeah. I mean, I know. I brought up in the Notion Slack. What was it, like September last year? 24-hour Notion stream for charity for just.
That's cool. Yeah.
I brought it up and I got a load of people upvoting it, and then I got some people downvoting it, and they were like, "I don't see the point." And I was like, "Okay." So it's something I want to do because there are so many Notion creators.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like 100 videos going up a day on YouTube.
I know, it's wild.
So I was like, 24-hour, and everyone's from different time zones. So one stream, I have no idea what charities I'd go to because there's so many.
Something for everyone.
Yeah, I don't know, like coding or developing or I don't know, software, something. I don't know. But 24-hour stream sounds fun. And Notion could do that on their channel as well. It doesn't have to be here.
Yep.
So that would be really cool. Really nice idea. Right, let's see what else is going on. Is there us Canadians? They make fun of us saying sorry and about.
I don't know. I saw Kim was also asking about I know Danley only has 4 databases in his space. What about you, Marie? What's your opinion on having all the information in databases or just in Pages? Your app list, for example, my app list is definitely a database because it's also connected up to my workflows and standard operating procedures. So again, just because my business runs on so many different apps and I have different people that are collaborating with me, the idea is like, hypothetically, if I brought a stranger in and was like, hey, go post a blog to whatever, they have all of the tools in the apps. They know exactly, there's like step-by-step instructions, embedded Loom videos. So I definitely use a lot of databases in my space for sure. I definitely started with all Pages. And then once I saw the visual capacity of databases, I was like, oh, okay, I can get behind this. I like this. So I lean a bit more database heavy these days, probably.
Yeah, I think so. With the 4 databases, like you said, my business is much different to yours. To start with, I don't have a team, and because I use loads of other apps as well, I didn't need to keep track of those apps for other people's things because I'm moving around, so I didn't need to keep track. I track the apps now because my content is related to different applications, different features of apps. So there's a purpose to it. Again, like the tracking thing. But I don't need a database for it because it's not in Notion. I think if I was to bring all the stuff from all the different apps into Notion, I would probably have way more databases. But I don't yet.
Yeah, I sort of have fields like why we use it, how often we use it. So there's like a frequency tag, what it costs if we're paying monthly or yearly. And that way I can get a sense too of, oh, these two apps do the same thing. Like maybe I just need one of these instead of these three. And so it just kind of helps us kind of keep track of like, what are we actually using? What are we not using anymore? What can we remove or delete or unsubscribe from and that sort of thing.
I'm just thinking now. So I'm planning on bringing other people on the live stream anyway, to talk about their digital tools and what they use. And I'm just thinking, I think it'd be interesting for me anyway, as a consumer, to look and see what tools a person is using, just out of curiosity, whether there's like a theme with maybe the area they're in, the business they have,
right? Yeah,
time of career. Because I know a lot of students obviously use Notion. But that doesn't necessarily mean businesses use Notion. So
yeah.
businesses are using Notion. Do they also use a specific application as well? I don't know.
Yeah. There's I think there's a lot of resistance to doing it on Notion if you're comfortable with other tools, because you're going to have to be building your setup from scratch. And a lot of people are like, I don't want to do that work. Like that seems like a lot of work. And I don't blame them. So it depends on how much do you value the creative control and being able to design it the way that you want, or so it won't be the best tool for every business for sure. But I've seen a lot of businesses do kind of have their internal wikis, right? So all the internal documentation of how we do things. I think that's like the ultimate way to use Notion. Any company can benefit from having that. And then I've seen companies just kind of integrate that with like ClickUp or something like that. But I do have a friend that was on Asana, moved to Notion, moved to ClickUp, and then was like, no, wait, moved back to Notion. So, and then I want to hear more from her. I'm curious to hear what it was, but I think it was almost too rigid. And she said she actually she felt more creative when she was in Notion, kind of opening up a page. There was more strategic creativity that was able to happen in a way that it didn't quite work inside of ClickUp. So ClickUp is good for like doing the tasks and like getting things done. But in terms of giving you that room to explore and whatnot, it just didn't quite fit. So.
Yeah. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but I kind of am. Make sure you pay attention to John's stuff as well. For those that are listening to the podcast, because John moved to ClickUp, and I'm pretty sure you've seen the ClickUp. Was it Mrs. Notion he's got on Twitter?
I have been watching Mrs. Notion, yeah.
Yeah, so they're having great fun there.
Oh my God.
I think they'll contribute to that conversation with the Notion ClickUp, go backwards and forwards. And Layla is a ClickUp consultant, so we spoke to her. So John and I spoke with Layla, and she uses Notion as well. Well, not as much as other people, but she like most of her clients, from what she was saying, they use Notion for something and use ClickUp for something else. Because
exactly, yep.
ClickUp's docs are not great, and even Yvonne, Evie, whatever she goes by now, she's got different names everywhere. But I did an interview on her live stream, and she's another ClickUp consultant. She was saying, "But why do you use Notion?" I was like, "Have you seen ClickUp's docs? You got a point."
Yeah, like that's why people are surprised they use Airtable. But I was like, no, it's a glorified database like that. And again, it's automations and APIs. Like it just does stuff that Notion doesn't do. So it's more like data collection, whereas I almost feel like I'm doing more with Notion, but that's like storage almost in a way. So it's like the different tools have different use cases.
Notion definitely has a bigger barrier to restrict procrastination, though.
Yes.
Like it's much harder to play around in boxed apps like Asana and ClickUp.
Exactly.
And
so that's a major criticism.
Level of personal restraint.
Yes, which not all of us, we all have different levels of that personal restraint, right?
Building Mario in Notion.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I saw something that I've gone through a lot of your templates and everything too, and I was like, okay, it's pretty nerdy. I dig it.
It was a while ago. I shared an image where I'd made Pixel Mario inline maths, and it's just like, why did you do that? Because I can.
Because it's fun, damn it.
Exactly. I haven't got around to making the rest of the team. Like I got halfway through Luigi, and yeah. So there's like a half-made pixel art Luigi of inline math in my Notion space. Oh, wow. Okay. It keeps jumping. Where are we going? I was reading something. Oh no, that's not. Well, it is important, but it's not important.
I saw Gray asking about the team. Are there any Notion channels that are specifically focused on how Notion works with teams? I don't know about channels, but I have seen a number, and I mean, sure, Danny would know, but I feel like I've seen a number of folks do some really great team-based videos, but I haven't seen like a whole channel focused around it. I probably should be leaning a little bit more toward the team content, because that is kind of stuff that we're, like, for example, I have an assistant coach, and so she does all the one-on-one consulting with teams specifically, right? So people like buy the course, their team members go through the course, and then she gives them that custom, it's like, go through at least modules 1 through 3 first, make sure you understand the core mechanics, then you can book your call with me. And so she's kind of helping them, customize their space. And so that's becoming more and more of like the hardest part for teams to figure out, right? Is like that getting up to speed. How do you make that happen a lot faster? So and there's so much nuance to it, even like size of team, type of team, how many departments. My husband did a guest private office hours for the course that was like how we manage Notion at like 120 person team. How are we using it? What things, how did we get people on board using it the way that you want to use it, not accidentally deleting stuff? There's lots of nuances to be aware of. So I do think, Gray, that there's probably some room to double down on that and actually do a lot more team-based content. Yeah.
There is a lot of room. So I'm 80% of Notion content is student-based.
True.
This is how I'm using Notion to study this. This is my dashboard. Most of you in Reddit will know dashboards are very popular in Reddit. Whenever you go in, there's a new dashboard that's been uploaded. So there's loads of dashboard-related stuff. There's loads of workflowy type, not workflowy the app, but workflowy type things going on with Notion. And when it comes to teams using Notion, most videos are, this is our space, and it's a very quick boof, there you go. And then
more like a tour, like an overview, right?
Yeah, it's not a nitty-gritty how they've actually do it, how the processes work. There's nothing like
groups,
that.
Permissions, privacy, like and especially one thing I see a lot is people that are actually parts of multiple teams, or people who actually run more than one company, or like there's a software side of my company and there's this side. Do I need a separate workspace? There's a lot of interesting use cases. Yeah. So I want to do a better job of distilling down, like, hey, based on all the teams I work with over the last couple of years, here are the most common patterns, and here's kind of the best way to set up your space. So I think I'll definitely have to do a series on that, where it's like cover those quirks and use, like, let's talk privacy with the team, right? Like, let's dive into each of those use cases. So I will do that, Gray. It's coming.
It's not on YouTube, I'll put it that way. Well, if it is, I haven't found it.
And like, that's where I think more of the value in a way to Notion is, right? Like, if you can get a larger team, obviously there's more money for them in like teams signing up. So they're going to have to accommodate for that in whether the influencer space or their documentation or the features geared more toward that team stuff. They're going to have to adapt, I think.
Yeah. This is an interesting point. Right below that one. Writing apps. I mean, Word.
I've heard like Draft, Ulysses, Scrivener.
Scrivener's one that's very, very words focused. It's all you've got. It's all you've been given. There are loads of apps out there, but the ones you've named are probably the ones that I would go towards, because a lot of the other apps out there are limited in one way or another, because they've tried to add other features, which makes it more like a try to do more than it wants to do type app. So I mean, Workflowy comes to mind. Workflowy is it's a nice application for writing, but if you click on the dot, it goes in and becomes a page, and it has to be a dot, so you've got the bullet point thing. So it's adding features that you won't necessarily need if you just want the not block based writing experience. So you could go to paper.
Paper.
It's paper. Maybe.
That's wild. You're crazy, Danny.
What is that thing you talk of?
Paper. That's funny.
It's this underrated thing that not many people use.
I used it before it was cool.
Yeah. So true. Most large companies use Atlassian. So I think, was it yesterday I went through the Atlassian trio, or it might have been the day before? Dutch companies, I did not know anything about Dutch companies using Atlassian, but mainly because I'm not, but okay. Notion has issues because it's not trusted yet. And that's something that is like kind of like I guess it's kind of a theme going through this week when it comes to the space of apps. You've got Google, Microsoft is like the big two that companies use, the suite of tools and apps and stuff. And then you have the sort of like the wild west of apps. Like, here's everything else. And you do have the small people of like Atlassian and the rest of it. But it's just, how you navigate those, I really don't know.
Yeah.
That's Marie. Sure, sounds good.
Okay, BRB.
So that sounds good. From when it comes to Atlassian, actually interesting. I was exploring so for those that don't know, Atlassian's like Trello, Confluence, and the other one, Trello, Confluence, and Jira are those three applications, and they've built up trust over time. Notion is a relatively young app. What is it, like 3 years old? Like I think 3, maybe going on 4 years old. So it's built up built up trust over time, and Notion's going to need more time to build up trust with the bigger companies and using those things. So it's certainly something that moving forwards potentially people can do. I'm gonna take Marie off screen for a second. I'm gonna go to me because I can hear stuff going on in the background. So I'll take her off. She will be back in a second. But yeah, it's a really good point, Notion not being trusted. And Bas, I sent you an email so we can talk about the privacies and security of Notion, because there are some limitations with Notion currently with the privacy settings and the security and stuff that's going on. So I'm not sure what's going on. Obviously, with the offline, we mentioned that earlier. The offline could be some time before Notion is trusted as an app. My team practically, what's that? Marie's back. There we go. Let's bring you back on. Here we go. I was just talking about the Google, Microsoft, Atlassian security privacy stuff, and how Notion, I think, needs more time to be trusted by some of the bigger companies with the features added in.
Definitely, I think they're going to have to adapt. Otherwise, companies are just going to use them for like documentation, but they're not going to think about using it for like task management across teams. And I'll be interested to see kind of how the feature set evolves to meet the pay, like where the money's coming in, but also not piss off all of the smaller people who've gotten, like by making it free and making it free for students, right? They've like obviously opened up like way bigger scale, but then those people aren't the ones that are actually paying the majority of Notion's bills. So that might be some tension there between like how they prioritize feature development. So I'll be curious to see what happens.
That is certainly a conversation that is rife in the Discord and Reddit, especially with the timeline view when they added you can only use, what's it, like 3, 5, 10. Like,
pitchforks, people have their pitchforks out, yeah.
And then you've got the content API for the free plan. You're like, okay, what API is going to be for the next plan then?
Mm-hmm.
So I put some restrictions on there. It's just like hypothetical. Don't actually know anything about it. It's just they've renamed it a couple of times because it started off Personal Pro. Then they changed it to Content API, and then they moved it to free plan. Okay, what are you thinking? Where are you going? What are you doing with it?
And again, they're not super transparent about that, right? So you're kind of like, okay, you're like, what's happening here, right? Yeah.
Give me some more info. I feel like we need like a fly on the wall type. I don't know whether it be like a podcast video, just like a weekly update, maybe like a 5-minute video or something. Just
they should do that. Yeah.
They've got a YouTube channel. Maybe just have like someone from the community, maybe someone like yourself, just like ask them like 5-minute quick fire questions.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, totally.
What the community want to know. What are your answers? Tell us what you can tell us. Just give us something. Because hopping on a 5-minute call is much easier than making a curated 10-minute video of stuff or responding to all the Twitter comments. Because no one reads the actual thing. They just read a comment and then they respond. You're like, scroll up a bit. Okay, looking for a question mark. I think that would be interesting if you do that. If we do what? I'm going to read the rest of this. If you do that and you're looking for someone whose focus isn't as much on project and task management and more on organization, I'd be happy to talk.
I think that was the speaking to making a little bit more content that's team focused, right? Yeah, and Kim, like,
I was going to say that there aren't team focused channels.
And I'm always happy to chat with folks that are using it at their teams. Like I know Gray is using it at a pretty big organization too. So I'd love to do some live streams with people that are doing more team-based use cases. So definitely hit me up on Twitter. I'd love to chat with you.
Yeah. So Kim put this afterwards. I know you've often said anyone can come on stream. So that's me. I'm not sure whether that's you as well. Are you happy to have anyone on stream?
Oh, I am. Yeah. Like I have a like I haven't been doing it in a while, but I definitely want to start making it a more regular, recurring thing on my own channel for sure. So I'd love to chat with Kim.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, anyone can come on stream literally at any time. Just let me know beforehand, obviously. I am thinking of, so Clubhouse is obviously doing quite well, and I'm thinking of making kind of like not necessarily a roundhouse conversation, but those that are, I probably will go with like sub to the channel or put some barrier of entry in there and just put a link, because StreamYard's so easy. Just put a link in the group and be like, if you want to join, join. If not, don't. But it gives them the choice and the option, because it's so much easier to talk like this. Okay, Ed. Can you guys please give your take on Notion's privacy approach? I feel like this is an ongoing theme.
Yeah, I feel like I don't understand enough about the like end-to-end encryption and kind of like how it all works. And so, yeah, I don't put anything that's like super important private information in there. Like, yeah, I do my journal, my agenda, whatever. It's just for like getting things done day to day. But yeah, I don't know that I can speak from a technical, I just don't know it from a technical perspective of kind of how things are hosted or like what it really means when they're like explaining end-to-end encryption. I'm like, I don't know, sounds secure. I don't really know. So I don't know that I can speak to it, but what's your thought?
Yeah, I was going to say the same, kind of like the same lines. I don't like giving an opinion when I'm not educated enough to have an opinion, which is why I want to bring people that are experts in whatever field they happen to be to add their opinions on it. From a personal use standpoint, privacy, I don't host anything in Notion that I wouldn't host anywhere else. I mean, oh no, my email account, it's on my YouTube. Anyone can find it. It's like, oh no, I don't have my phone number in Notion because it's on my phone. So there's nothing in Notion that isn't already publicly available. I mean, I screen share my Notion. It's like everything in Notion is in a video somewhere.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So the privacy, I think it's business worried rather than personal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff talking about the writing apps. So I was talking about when you were gone about Atlassian mentioning like Jira, Confluence, and Trello, the three apps. Jira's is taking away the on-premise option to going only cloud. Yes. So having explored Jira, I don't understand why Jira is a thing when you have Trello and Confluence. I'm not sure how much you've explored them, but there seems like a lot of overlapping features. Jira just seems like something people that use GitHub will get and do the coding. Yeah. The coding access feature thing was the only thing that I saw that would differentiated Jira from Trello, like features wise, because it was still a board view, which is what Trello is. And then Trello has all the add-ons and stuff.
As far as I know, there's a lot more granular control on like someone can't move something to a certain board if a feature isn't filled out. Like there's a lot more, I think, granular control and permissions on who can move stuff. And like if this condition is not in place, do not allow that to move forward. So it helps with like QA and coding at a team scale. That's kind of my understanding of it. So it's almost like there's too much control in something like Notion where like any Joe Schmo can be like moving something where they shouldn't, where in Jira it's a lot harder to do that, I think.
Yeah, that's what I saw with the settings page. Like it when you clicked on the settings page, it was a whole load thing. It wasn't just open up this window. It was a whole, here's the whole block of, I didn't go through it all because no one wants to watch me go through all the settings of an application. But yeah, there was a whole settings thing. So I would imagine privacy and restrictions, but then Trello was similar, but I didn't look through the settings, so probably something there that's different.
Yeah.
Okay, someone else mentioned OneNote. Interesting. My office started using it across teams of 6 and had syncing problems. Yeah, so OneNote obviously part of the Microsoft suite of tools, box of tools.
That would explain why I haven't used it.
Yeah, Microsoft OneNote. It's funny how like the beginning of tools kind of get chopped off. Like um, Microsoft To Do is referred to as Microsoft To Do, but Microsoft OneNote is referred to as OneNote.
Interesting. Yeah.
And it what was it? Outlook. Microsoft
Right.
Outlook. You're like you're chopping off the the rest of the app, and yeah, I think decontextualizes the app a little bit. Yeah, but yeah, OneNote is a good app. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like the Microsoft tools.
Yes, same. I've heard I've heard people talk about OneNote in a way. They're like, "Oh, I love OneNote. It's like so great." I'm like, okay, but just never was inclined to go down that path.
No, most people that I've seen that like OneNote like the handwriting ability from iPad.
That's exactly what. Yeah.
But I'm like, if you're going to do that, why not just use a handwriting app for iPad?
Like Notability, right? I've heard really good things about Notability. Yeah.
Notability is the one that comes up in my mind. I don't have a tablet or an iPad, so I can't say whether it's good or bad because I don't use them. But people talk about these. There's like 4 main note-taking apps. I don't know all of them. Notability is the one that comes to mind. And I'm like, if they're those, why would you use OneNote? I don't know. But I think I was talking about from Office. You mentioned Office, something business, Microsoft. Just okay, fine. Similar with uni. Yeah. Instead of using Zoom, we used Teams.
Okay.
Why Teams? It was so painful. It was so painful. Every student was like, I have to download Teams on my computer. All the lecturers were like, how do I use this thing?
Lord.
Just use Zoom. It's so much easier. But privacy and the rest of it.
Privacy, schmivacy.
Yeah. Craft. Have you looked at Craft at all?
I have not.
Craft is similar. Ed's kind of said Bear and Craft are similar. Craft it's another one of the backlinking note-taking applications that is starting to move forwards. I think it's next on the list after, because I did Ample Note yesterday.
Craft is nice.
Craft is another one. It's on the list. It's interesting.
Okay.
So I think this is a reference to the streaming. I was only talking to Danny. I'm not professional enough for Marie. Are you calling me unprofessional?
And you do not need to be like, I love talking to people at all levels. If people are, either way, I don't think Kim was talking about the Teams use case, but it was about coming on the stream and sharing what apps people use. So yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
tomorrow.
So funny. Professional enough. Cracks me up.
Talking with John tomorrow. So Monday. Yeah, I'm in the process of working out a schedule. Like I was going to do it Calendly and just be like, hey, book it then, and do it that way. So I'm thinking of doing it that and just be like, yeah, and then you could just like pick a time you want to come on stream. Cool. But then I realized that the barrier to entry, I'm like, I don't know who this person is because some people may just because there's a Calendly link, so I'm going to have to put the Calendly link somewhere where people can book a thing. And I was like, how do I figure this out? Because I may get some random person be like, I'm coming on stream. I'm like, I don't know who you are. I don't know if I can trust you.
Yeah, you almost need like a little bit of an mini application. Like, okay, what do you want to talk about? Kind of who are you? Like share your links, just like a little vetting process. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Kim, I know you. Like you've been in stream. I think you're a modder on. I know you're a modder on Twitch. I think you're a modder on YouTube as well. So I trust you. So I'll probably just send you a link in the Discord. But other people, I'm like, how do I do that? But are you professional? How do you class professional? I'm curious.
Yeah, that's so funny to me. Because I think in the early years of building my career, I cannot help myself. Like you said, who I am with you is who I am with a client is who I am with a friend. And so I swear with my clients, I speak off the cuff. Like I don't consider myself super polished, maybe in the way that I would speak to a client. And I always thought I was like unprofessional, or people would be like, don't be friends with your clients. Like that's not professional. But I was like, but how? I don't know how to not be like warm and connected with my clients. Like what's the point? It's like that I do this because it's fun. It's like I do this kind of work because I love connecting with people. So I think I always had a bit of a chip on my shoulder about like being a professional and what that means. And then at some point I was like, F it, I am who I am and like deal with it. And so I think everyone kind of has a different perception of like, what does it mean to be a professional? I've like sworn in my email newsletters, and I had someone be like, please don't use the S word, or like, you know, I said shit. And someone was like, please refrain from swearing. It's not very ladylike. And I was like, middle finger to that, good sir. I was like, don't unsubscribe you from my list. So I think it's again related to that conversation around who am I online? What can people expect? And what am I comfortable talking about? What am I not comfortable talking about? How political do I want to get? How perverted do I want to get? Like, you name it. It's like, it's a process to figure out how comfortable are you with your online persona, totally reflecting, you know, how much is TMI? It's a process. I don't know. So I don't necessarily consider myself super professional, but I'm a little more restrained than I might be if I didn't have so many people from the Notion world maybe following along. They're like, oh, Marie's really nice. And I was like, oh shit, do I have to be nice? Really nice? Like, do I always have to be nice? What are the rules? I don't know. How does this work?
Yeah, it comes back to the live streaming kind of thing. So Gotham Chess on Twitch, like I said, completely the opposite. And in his YouTube comments, he'll try and be polite, and you can see him responding to the comments. In Twitch, if someone asks him a question that they could Google, or that's like a really easy question, or it's on the website, he's just no, and he will have that person. He'll bite at them, and you're like, I mean, he's got a point, to be fair. I mean,
yeah, I sort of take the, like, if I don't have anything nice to say, like when someone's like, you should stop doing this in your videos, and I don't respond to those because I don't really have anything super polite to say other than like I will take your input into consideration, ma'am. But no, it's
that, but not really.
yeah, it's like, what do I want to say versus what actually comes out? Yeah,
that's so true. Tools on Text mentioned about Jira, so when he comes on stream, he's going to let us know. Good, because like I say, I can only explore so much of an application, and those settings, there were so many.
Yeah, that would be cool to actually have someone walk you through, like, oh, but you know, you can do this, and they kind of walk you through it. Yeah,
exactly. And that's actually one of the side effects maybe of doing these streams, exploring applications, is I know I don't know the app, and it's kind of like I want someone to get triggered by me exploring the app and not seeing it and be like, right, I need to teach you how to do this thing.
And then they go and start a whole YouTube channel just to like help Danny learn.
Yeah. Either they start a channel, or they just explain everything in a comment, and I can just pin the comment at the top of the video and be like, if you want to know more, go follow this person. This person knows more, or ask this person the questions because they know. Or they can just come on stream and then just explain it. And I'm like, then I'm learning, everyone else is learning, and that's what I want to do. Bring people into one place rather than having to be like, oh, if you want this app, go there. Want this app, go there. Want this theory, go over there. You're like, I just want a place. And like, I know YouTube, if I want to talk to any YouTube coach creator, I go Saturday, Nick Nimmon's live, and they will either be in chat, or they may come on stream at some point, or they are there. If I want to know anything about YouTube, that's where I go.
Yeah.
Where at the moment in the app space, productivity app space, it's just Wild West. Have fun. Good luck.
Totally.
I assume you were reading something. You look like you were reading through a comment. Is there something?
Yeah, there's a couple. Oh, I was just noticing, nerdy Notioneer saying most of the comments may be coming from a really young audience that may not know like what's okay to comment and how to comment. Like sometimes, you know, like English as a second language, or different cultural expectations, or, you know, I've definitely had people like make very appearance related comments, right? Like they're not commenting on the content of the video, they're commenting on something about your appearance and stuff. So it takes, you just get all kinds of folks that just like don't know, like, that was not a nice, like, did you have to say that? Was that a helpful comment? You know, like that sort of thing. It's just not everybody knows what the but not everyone knows how to behave.
Yeah, very true. So that side tangent, that reminds me of was it Bhut? No, Bcanvas. So Bcanvas is an application for note taking, but you build your own world. So there's like, wait, was it Bcanvas or was it the other one? I think it was Bcanvas. And you like it's like a 3D thing. So you move it around. You can see like drafts and dinosaurs that you can put into your note taking, and like you stack your note taking with like an area, which is a terrain type thing, and it was so surreal. I think it was a couple of days ago. I think it was either B Canvas or it was I can see the logo. I'm pretty sure it was B Canvas. But yeah, I was looking at it, I was like, this is such a unique way of taking notes. It was still like a post-it note app. Like, here's your note, write your stuff down. Oh, Nototo. Yes. I was like,
yeah.
Nototo. Yeah, I was like,
I have to remember to check that
why? What? I don't get it. And you can like put dinosaurs next to your notes and change the sizes, and it's like a 3D type thing. As you scroll across, you can see the side of the dinosaur and you see the top of the dinosaur. I was like, this is
But
so
you like
cool.
fun, Danny. This is
Yeah, exactly. It was I could have gone through the app in 5 minutes and be like, yeah, there you go, there's all the features. But instead, I think we spent like half an hour going through all the different animals you could put in. You could put houses in there and trees and change the sizes. I started building like a castle wall with the things like around the, it was just.
Well, it comes back to what you were saying about even the mind palace of like when we remember things in these really interesting visual ways, like does that actually increase our ability to remember and to make interesting connections? So it's what a neat thing.
Yeah, it was one of those concept apps that you see and you're like, that is so different. I don't know if I like it or hate it.
Yeah, you're like, I like this. I don't know how practical it is, but I like where you're going with this.
Yeah, oh wow. It was certainly an experience. And I think because I'm exploring more applications, once I've gone through the big apps, gone through the big applications, like the common ones, I'm going to start going into some really niche ones that not many people are using because there's just so many there. And there's going to be some really, I'm intrigued to see what interesting features they're going to have or not have, or approaches that they have, because there are so many different ways of doing things.
Yeah, I might have to do a couple of videos too on like how I do my budgeting with Numi. Like there's so many use cases where I'm like, I love that freaking tool so much, and it's for like one really, really specific thing. And I was like, I should share this with people just for fun, right? So I will probably experiment with a little bit of like off Notion tangent videos.
I guess it comes down to what you want to, like the 1 year goal, the 5 year goal, the 10 year goal thing. It's like, where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing in that time frame? Like, do you want to be the Notion person for like the next 10 years, assuming Notion lasts that long? Hopefully it does, but.
It's a good question. I don't think it's possible to predict that far, especially in this space, because like, 2 years ago, would I have known that I would be building a whole business around? No, like that wasn't even like on my freaking radar. It was like, just not even a possibility. So I'm very open to the idea of new things will emerge based on where I'm giving my attention. And like you said, following what's fun, right? I'm always looking for like, what is giving me energy? What's lighting me up the most? And is that always going to be Notion? No, like Notion is the tool that allows me to be creative, to get things done, to explore my ideas, right? So those ideas are going to take a different form and a different shape. And so hopefully I'll have done enough content and work to kind of help bring people up to speed. But there's going to be different things moving forward. Like I'm going to be doing, things after that. I think just dipping into the Notion community has just exposed me to so many interesting people, so many different thinkers, different personalities, it just kind of opened up a lot of doors. And so, I have no idea what's going to be next, but I just love what's been possible as a result of kind of choosing to dive in really deep for a short amount of time.
So kind of like a go with the flow type thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think looking back, like there were years where I felt I really struggled because I didn't know what is the red thread that ties all of my body of work together. And so like design background, and then like web design, and then strategy, and then online courses. And there's been all these things. And it's like, oh, I always thought it was me being flaky. Like now I'm doing this, and now I'm doing this. Now I'm the Notion girl. But it all actually does tie together. But when you're in it, it can be really hard to see that thread. So in some ways it's go with the flow. Those core strengths are always going to be there. The curiosities are always going to be there. There's certain things that are always going to stand the test of time. The output of what that looks like is going to evolve and be different. So I'm open to being in that discomfort of like, well, I don't know, maybe I'll be writing a book, maybe I'll be running an organization, maybe I'll be doing coaching. Like, I don't know what the format looks like, but I know that where the curiosities are kind of taking me.
Yeah, and that's something that I have in my mind as well. When people ask me, for whatever reason, people like to ask me, what are you actually doing with your YouTube channel? What are you doing with this? Why are you doing that? And I understand their curiosity, and I never have a good answer because I don't know.
You're like, I'm having fun. You're meeting people, you're building skills, you're exploring apps. Like, you don't even know what is going to be possible for you in 2 years because you did this work right now. Right.
Exactly. And I think because of my background, even though I've done sports coaching for 3 years, S&C for 2 years, like I thought I knew what I was going to do after first year, and then after second year, then after third year, fourth year, and then fifth year, and now I'm not using any of that. Well, I'm not using the majority of that in the traditional sense. I'm still coaching, and I'm still using those soft skills and all of the rest of it, but it's not high performance. Well, not sports high performance anyway. But it might
be zooming out a bit and just like you're still looking at performance and kind of how people perform even in their lives, or even just, I don't know. I think performance as a theme could still be something that you're exploring. It just looks a little bit different than what you're used to, right? Like, I'm super interested in like human potential, right? Like, how can I get my clients taking action and building the things that they're meant to be building, not getting bogged down in administrative and tech and whatever. I was like, oh, don't worry. Like, the tech is the easy part. Like, you focus on create your amazing content. We're going to get you shipped and we're going to get you out there. So I love the idea of what is that beautiful intersection where people can be so aligned with their natural skill set and what people are asking for, seeking for, like that ikigai, like having each person really find out what that is for them is very, very exciting to me. And so and I think that's why I love Notion, again, just as a tool for helping you reflect on that and notice like, oh, I don't feel good when I'm working on these projects. I feel really lit up when I'm doing this, and it being a tool for that discovery process. So that will always be a theme, and that could be through coaching someone. It could be through running a social enterprise. Like, I don't know what the format's going to look like, but the core idea is always going to be there.
Oh yeah. All right. Fun always comes back to fun.
Exactly. Like, what's the point to make your own jail, right? It's like, cool, now I'm my own boss and I'm a slave to my own schedule and hate what I'm doing and like feel really resentful. Like, what's the point, right? So I always want to be designing my business for optimizing for fun and stokage at an all-time high.
I love that question. What's the point?
Yeah, like really ask yourself, like, why are you doing this? Is it because you want more free time? Is it because you want to make a boatload of money? Is it like, what do you actually want? And I think a lot of people don't really do that deep work. We get caught in that, like, you're just kind of grinding through each day and you're just doing things. And I guess I should tweet, but like, you're not really thinking about what are you actually trying to do at the end of the day? And what kind of life do you want to live? I talked about this on a podcast interview earlier this week too, was for a while, I think I was optimizing my life for peace. Like, I just want to have no stress. I just want to like minimize the stress of my life and just be happy. And then when stuff was happening with Black Lives Matter, like the riots, and I was like, there's a lot of intense stuff happening right now in the world. And I realize I've been very privileged and very comfortable. And I no longer just want to optimize for my own comfort. Like, that doesn't feel like enough. And I need to be doing more. I need to get more active. I need to find out what's happening in my local communities as well. And so I realized that impact is more important to me than comfort, right? And so it feels almost like each level up that you go, or the more clear you get on what your values are and what matters, you can start to keep aligning your business activities or your life activities so that they're lined up with what you want to do. So I'm okay with not having the most peaceful, like calm, stress-free life. I'm willing to have hard conversations and I'm willing to do some hard work if it means being really aligned and lit up with what I do.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can really avoid the stress or whatever it happens to be. It's there. It's just you either ignore it or you embrace it. And I personally used to ignore it, which was actually hurting me. I didn't know it at the time. I was just ignoring it. It's like, I don't need to worry. I don't need to worry about all of these other things. I have all of these things to worry about. And then I realized, actually, if I worry about those things, I can then help whatever everything's going on and then start building myself up rather than cocooning myself, because cocooning yourself's not fun.
Just like pretending it doesn't exist. La la la, everything's fine, right?
Yeah, it's isolation. Like, it's kind of like isolation now. Like, you're sitting in your house, you don't really know what's going on. Like, you obviously know in the news, but when you actually see what's going on, you're like, oh, okay, this is actually a real thing. And I still don't understand how people don't think COVID's a real thing, but it's like, hello, open your eyes. But
fake news, you're being fed lies.
I don't get it. I really don't get it. But everyone to their own, to an extent. Gail did bring this up. This is what I did with Natoto. Sheepzilla. So I put a sheep inside the note-taking app. I made it as big as I could. And I didn't realize it was a sheep to start with. When I clicked on it, I thought it was a goat or a ram or something, and then I realized, oh no, it's actually a sheep. At one point I thought it was a rhino because it had it looked like a horn, but it was because it was like top down. It's like, looks like a white rhino maybe, and then I moved slightly to the side. I was like, oh no, it's actually a sheep when you look at it from the side. Yeah, it's one of those apps that I will. It's just procrastination. Literally, that's all it is. It's a procrastination app. Can't believe I sat through the whole stream. Yes, slightly nervous, Danny, and confident, but humble Marie made it pleasantly
riveting. Okay.
Yes.
Love it.
Oh, I misread carefree for caffeine, and I was thinking.
I did too. I totally did too. And I was like, oh yeah, I need more coffee.
I don't drink any caffeine. No, I don't drink any caffeine.
Don't need it? You don't need it?
No, I haven't stopped moving like all day. I don't stop moving at all. And we've been speaking for 3 hours now, and I still have the exact same amount of energy as I did start with. All the way through the day, I'm constantly like 100%, always ready to go.
Do you ever like, what makes you crash, or what makes you kind of lose your energy? Do you ever, or are you just still too young that you've just got so much energy?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of when I crashed. I can't think of a time where I've just not had energy. I've always had energy, but it's what I've directed it towards.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the only time I haven't had energy is when I'm just extremely ill, like physically ill, and I can't move, but I'm still like, my brain is still going and I'm still taking notes. I'm just like, I'm curled up in my on my bed, it's just like there, because I'm in my room, like I'm there right next to my laptop, so I'll have my phone like on record, and I'll just record notes that are coming to my mind in my head, and just it's still going. Like, my brain does not switch off. I don't lose energy. I mean, whenever I have like sugar, my like everyone in my family knows when I've had sugar, because I'm just I don't stop. Yeah, I just don't stop. Energy, which is why I think sport is something that I cling to so much, mostly through my life, because my regiment, my schedule when I was younger, I did at least 3 hours of sport a day, and they were different sports. I would swimming, handball, football, athletics, like rugby, cricket, like any sport I could get my hands on, I was taking part of. And my parents were like, "We need to wear him out."
I can only imagine they would have had their hands full. Like, oh my gosh, how do we tire him out? Holy.
Yeah. Piriton apparently tires me out.
Jeez.
So I had an ear infection when I was younger, which is why I'm now half deaf in practically half deaf in my right ear. But I was in excruciating pain when I was younger, and Piriton helped with the pain, but also wiped me out completely. I was gone. So my parents, I have no idea what they did, but I'm guessing, just as like a thing, they're like, I'm sick of Danny talking or making noise. Obviously, when I was younger, like just give him some Piriton, he'll fall asleep.
Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
I can see my parents doing that. But yeah, loads of energy, and it's just a case of directing the energy for me, which is why I think live streaming is quite easy for me. Is I always have energy, I'm always going, I'm always doing something, which is potentially why I'm so productive. Not productive, but doing something, because I can't sit still. I think Sarah mentioned during the week, she was like, "You're going to get bad back pain because you're sitting down all day." I'm like, I might be sitting down all day, but I mean, I'm on a
Still
swivel
moving.
chair. Yeah, I'm on a swivel chair. I must have repositioned like 50 times. Like I'm just constantly moving, and yeah, obviously you can't see what's going on underneath. My hands are always moving, irrespective of whether you can see them on camera. Like they're out here, and yeah,
Parading around. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like my feet are going like cross-legged. Not I've got like a stool over there that I keep like moving up and down. I'm flicking the light backwards and forwards, which you may actually be able to see like with the camera. Like I'm moving the light with my foot because it's under the camera because it's something to do. I just have to do something. Yeah, so loads of energy.
Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, and I know some people are the complete opposite, and they just really struggle to get up.
Oh yeah, I struggle to get up. Yeah.
Yeah, in the morning. When I was going to uni and doing stuff that I didn't want to do because it wasn't fun, going back to those first two questions, then it was hard to get up, hard to wake up. But still, as soon as I got my brain wrapped on something, whether that was literally getting out of bed or playing a game or doing a research or getting an essay done for something, as soon as my brain decided to turn on, turning it off was, yeah. But in my head, have you seen what's it? I think it's Robin Apollo, the pickpocket, the professional pickpocket. Have you seen? He did a TED talk about attention and how pickpockets like divert your attention so they can obviously pick your pocket. And he gave a diagram, an image, and essentially there's like a man. I think he called him like Tim or Ted or something, with like controls. And when you like tap someone on the shoulder, Ted, whatever it is, turns around to look at it, or when you ask someone to think of something, he turns around and stops looking at the screen and then comes back to it. And it's in that time that they do all the pickpockety stuff. In my head, Ted is just always on every screen, and I have to like physically drag him away and like put him into like a box or something and lock him away to go to bed, like to go to sleep. I have to like physically like throw him in the bed.
Yeah, I feel so activated at night. It's so hard to. I'm like, but I'm just like getting into the groove. Damn it! I have to go to sleep. No.
Inside Out is another one of those films.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Absolutely.
And I'm like all of those all the time. It's just like feeding everything, going. Don't. Yeah. I think if I didn't need to sleep, I wouldn't sleep. Like, yeah. I mean, just
neurodivergent, as we said. Yeah. Neurodivergent.
Just as an example, so during this week, Monday, I woke up at 12, like in the middle of the day. Didn't go to bed at all, and just carried on through, and then like went to bed at like normal time. I'd streamed on Monday and Tuesday. Abby's just said it's 2:40 a.m. here. It's okay. Last night I went to bed at 4. Oh, it's just like my brain was just like going. I just could not stop. But yeah. So during the week, I've had enough hours sleep. Like I've had 8 hours sleep a night, but I go to bed whenever my body decides, okay, now it's time to chill. Then I do.
That's so tough. Do you have any like rituals, or like do you meditate? Do you do anything to like help assist in the calming the brain down?
I've tried it, and it does work to an extent, but I find that if when I was meditating, I actually found it was stressing me out, doing the meditation was calming, but afterwards was stressing me out because I knew in my head that there were other things that I could have done that I wanted to do, that I was motivated to do in that time, and I'm like, well, now I'm not motivated to do that thing. Now I don't want to do that thing. So I was like, so auto-regulation is something that I follow quite heavily now, and I did that with my performance coaches when I was doing strength and conditioning, auto-regulation with their weightlifting and stuff. Danny, let the poor lady go. Okay. I did say I was going to stop 2 hours in.
We gave it a good attempt, but yeah, we were having a good convo.
I said 2 hours. I even had my mouse over the end broadcast button, and then
you gave me the out, and then we kind of carried on. That's so funny. No, I love digging into the more
Yeah, and
nuanced, it's personal.
I mean, you're more than happy to come on stream whenever you want, whenever you feel like it, have a chat.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be streaming daily for the foreseeable future, at least.
That's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. I definitely want to get in the habit of doing them a little bit more often. And I think I was a little nervous about them because, again, people have gotten to know me through Notion. Then I was like, well, what about these other conversations that I want to have? Are people willing to watch those? But there's only one way to find out, is to have the conversation. And
they are certainly willing to watch. I mean, they're here. They're here now.
Who are you, crazy people? Why are you still here?
Why are you listening to us babble?
I'm sorry. Yeah,
I think that's one of the best things about Clubhouse, though, which is why it's doing so well. It's literally like a fly on the wall.
Yeah, fly on the wall is definitely super interesting. I think I have found it hard to find like signal versus noise on Clubhouse. Like I just have not quite found the right. This is a lot of blabber. I'm waiting for like some some really good nuggets, but I might have to do a better job of kind of like finding some of those curated rooms and such. So yeah.
That's what you just read as well.
Yeah, maniacal laugh. Yeah. It's like Dragon being like, if you keep talking, we're just gonna keep staying. It's like, okay.
That is quite literally what John and I say on our streams. It's like we could easily talk for longer. It's just we should probably go now.
We eat a meal and go to the bathroom. Yeah.
You even did that like halfway through stream.
I did. I had no choice. It was a lot of water that I had. We had no choice.
Yeah, I forget. I forget.
Oh, so good.
But yeah, do you wanna call it there? What we at? We're at 3 hours 15.
Yeah, I should make some lunch. But if there's any final questions or whatnot, or even videos that you guys want to see, let us know. 12-hour study session. Ooh, definitely good luck. What's your secret, Danny? Such a lot of energy. Yeah. What's the secret? Can you like bottle that up and sell that so we can all function, please?
I wish I could. I wish I could. Fun is the secret. I enjoy everything I do. And if I find something starts to get a little bit boring or monotonous, I change it up in some way.
Yeah.
Change it up in some way. And like, I mean, this is part of the mic that broke. So it's like it broke. It's like, this is what my desk is full of. This is the camera thing for me to like fiddle, like underneath the camera. I'm sitting there like squeezing this and like moving it around, fiddling. This is the camera battery. It's heavier, so I can spin it around in my hand. This is a peg, so I could squeeze it again, and I can like attach it to things, and then this spins.
I like playing with like a little post-it note stack that I'm just like just fiddling with, but that's about it.
Yeah, I've got loads of other stuff like yeah, it's just like full of random junk that I just fiddle with. Fidget spinner didn't do it for me. Didn't do it. Yeah, no. Fidget cube as well didn't do it for me. I just have to keep moving. But yeah, 12-hour stream. Well, it's 12-hour study session. I'm looking forward to the 12-hour stream with John. I'm looking forward to that one.
Wild.
It's gonna be good fun. So hopefully we can get some other people joining us in the conversation. So there's people dipping in and out.
Yeah, that's so fun. Super cool. Yeah, we won't even attempt to answer Gail's question. We know the purpose of life is fun, Gail. So it's all about designing your life for more fun. That's what it's all about. Optimize stokage.
Gail, ask that question when we do the 12-hour stream, and you may get an answer at like hour 12. Right. So I'm going to call it this just so that we buy a fidget spinner. Didn't work. I'm going to call it there so that we don't carry on talking for another like 3 hours, because I certainly could.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
I hope everyone enjoyed. Everyone had fun. I will be streaming tomorrow on the Notion Nerds podcast channel. That's with John, because we stream over there instead on a Sunday. Fun. Similar conversation, similar topics, but instead of Marie, we have John. I think that's a bit of a downgrade, but what can we do?
We love you, John.
What can we do? But yeah, I will see everyone tomorrow, and if you don't catch us on Notion Nerds, then I'll be streaming on Monday anyway. Marie, do you want to say what you're doing anytime soon, or is it just at
Marie Poulin on Twitter? Say hello or check out my YouTube channel. Yeah.
That stream, I'm looking out for that one. the stream you mentioned.
Yep, it's coming. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks for
Bye,
watching.
everyone.